What is up, guys? It's JZNES back again with another video. Here we are today to talk about the ending of Zelda for now. The very last Zelda game in the main series to be released. I got my Zelda 1 t-shirt, as is appropriate for this moment. We've reviewed every Zelda game up until now in the main series. And here we are reviewing the very last, the Breath of the Wild. And yeah, I remember kind of when this game came out and how long it was hyped for. And initially it was kind of revealed on the Wii U there, and I have that version, and that's the version I played first, was the Wii U version. It actually is more handy to have like the map and stuff on your gamepad. That's pretty nice, and the inventory and stuff. That was all it's nice to have on your gamepad while you're playing along. So if I do have one thing to say that's like, this could have been in there from the Switch version, but they couldn't have done it any other way. They did a good job with the Switch version, but I'm just saying that is a missing element that on my initial playthrough was really handy. So there is sort of some benefit to playing this on the Wii U here. And as far as I could tell, the game was fine. Like, I don't know, there was supposed to be like frame rate issues or something, or any of that kind of stuff. None of that stuff really ever bothers me. But like, I think it was fine. I think it was great, actually. And I don't know, this might be the definitive version, but also there might be connectivity with the next game, Tears of the Kingdom. We don't know yet. But since it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild, my bets are on, obviously if you can connect, it's going to be with the Switch version. So to have the Switch version complete and everything done on there may be helpful for Tears of the Kingdom. Now that's just me speculating, but I did play the Wii U version first, and it's a great version of the game. Almost better in some ways, because you have all of that stuff accessible on the gamepad right away and in all times, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, so if you're wondering if you have like a Wii U and that version is cheaper or something, like get that version. It's pretty good. But maybe you want the Switch version so you can take it with you and stuff. That's also benefited Switch version. So there you go. There's some pros and cons on that. But anyway, so I mean, I guess while we're doing this preamble, I'm not going to talk about the DLC. I'm going to try not to, and that's for the benefit of this game at the moment. I haven't finished the DLC. I've only played part of it, but what I played of it was very frustrating, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, as to not tear down the experience of Breath of the Wild. Listen to this music! Like, holy shit, if the game had music like this, like, all the time, like, no, we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so, there's a lot to cover here, you know, in Breath of the Wild, so we gotta do, you know? Let's see. So yeah, when I initially got this game, when it was being hyped up, I said, okay, I'm not going to play Breath of the Wild until I finish every other main series Zelda game, which is technically a lie, because I never finished Spirit Tracks, but it was really expensive at the time. It's still really expensive. I didn't really see it as a worthy entry into the Zelda series at the time. Now I do. I think it's a good game, but it's the only one I didn't play. I played all of the ones I hadn't played up until that point. And even some of the older ones through like the remakes, the Ocarina of Time 3D and the Majora's Mask 3D. I finished those games. I hadn't played those games to completion prior to that. In 2017, I started playing them. I think it was like 2018 by the time I got the game. Well, no, that's not true. It was 2017. It was right around the time when the game was coming out. that I got it. You know, obviously I was playing all these Zelda games leading up to there, and I remember Link Between Worlds being kind of the last one I needed to play to get to this one. Obviously, like skip Skyward Sword and shit like that. At the time, I was very bad taste in my mouth, and obviously the HD remake wasn't out yet, so that would have been a good move to skip Skyward Sword there. Anyway, so I had played Link Between Worlds and had this great experience with that, and I wanted to now play Breath of the Wild. Now, how I got Breath of the Wild was I got this, Smash Brothers, and Mario Kart 8, three of the best Wii U games, all for free with my Wii U, which at the time was like $250 with all of those games. And at the time, Zelda was like a $60 game. I bet you like Mario Kart would have been like, I don't know, like maybe a $30 game or maybe even $60. I don't know. And Smash Brothers was definitely like a more expensive game at the time too. So, yeah, I mean, like, I got a really good deal, I feel like, you know? I thought about it and I'm like, I could get a Switch with this money and then get Zelda, but that's going to be more expensive than I'd buy the other controllers and all that stuff. So I just wanted to buy a Wii U, and I got the Pro Controller deal with that as well. Um, Obviously the gamepad and stuff. Mine is the white one, but he included this like USB that like so you'd have more room kind of thing. It was a pretty good deal at the time, and I got obviously Breath of the Wild. That's where we're talking about this game. This game is that was my experience. Then I sat on it for a while, is my point. And then when I finally finished Link Between Worlds, I went to play Breath of the Wild, and at the time I had a job where I could kind of make my own schedule, work certain days, not work certain days. It kind of was like that wasn't like a thing, but it also was like if I wanted to just take a day off, I kind of could, sort of thing. So I just kind of did that one of the days. I just kind of said, hey, fuck it. I'm just gonna take a couple of days to start playing this game, you know, so I can really get immersed in it. And like damn, it was I remember sitting down for the first time and just even doing the Great Plateau. This was actually at my old place before this place. um so yeah, I remember doing that, and that was a lot of fun, and even just that was like you know, at the time we were all kind of speculating after Skyward Sword, how could a new Zelda be like really good, and it was going open world, and I don't really care for open world games. I've talked about this in the past. Usually they're done pretty poorly. Um, there's not a lot of content in them. That's really kind of a problem with open world games. So going into this game, I was very mixed on my on how I was, uh, you know, because I had heard all this hype about the game too, and you know, all these 10 out of 10s and blah blah blah. But I'd heard all that about Skyward Sword too, so I really didn't know what to think about this new sort of thing. And was it a 10 out of 10 because it was this open world Zelda? Is that why everyone was so immersed and enamored with it? You know, like, yeah, I mean, probably, but like, these things did not, to me, add up to like, I'm gonna love this game like everyone else, and I was really nervous going in that I was like, am I gonna like this game? Am I not gonna like this game? I'm gonna have problems with it, or is it gonna just take over my life? Is it gonna be too big for me to kind of complete? Do we really need to take Zelda in this direction? You know, is what I was thinking. And in a lot of ways, I still prefer a sort of more dense, smaller world. But I think that once I started playing the game, I realized, yeah, this is cool. There's lots to kind of do in this world, and there's lots of locations and stuff that references past Zelda games, and so many new things to add to, and so many refinements of the formula of Zelda, and a lot of that's good, and a small amount of that is kind of not as good, you know. So I guess like off the bat, I don't have that many negatives to say about the game. Like my one big criticism with the game, and ever since the game came out, this was my biggest criticism, and I think this is an underrated criticism, or it's underrepresented in the fandom. Everyone wants to talk about how Breath of the Wild is this amazing game, and it's this 10 out of 10 perfect sort of game, and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's fine. You guys can have your opinions or whatever. Me, personally, there's one kind of aspect of this game that pisses me off more than anything. And I think the DLC kind of is mean-spirited in that same way. I don't want to talk about the DLC because I haven't finished it yet, but the problem I have with it thus far is the fact that you just kind of die with one hit because they take all your hearts away, and to have this weapon that like kills everything in one hit. So you kill everything with one hit, but you get killed in one hit, and you can't recover hearts. And then there's like this shrine with like a million like spikes everywhere. So if you hit one spike, you just die. And it's like, they're so cruel with these spikes. Okay, sorry. Anyway, my point of that is nothing in the game is really that cruel. And this is why I'm separating the DLC, or trying to the best I can. Outside of one aspect of the game, the core mechanic of the game, you go anywhere, you explore, Hyrule is your bitch, as long as you get enough stamina, you fucking got it, man. You go girl, you go fucking, you go anywhere. You climb that mountain. You want to see that mountain in the distance? You want to climb that shit? You go fucking climb that shit. Now, okay, there's some different things like the temperature mechanics, like in Death Mountain, there's this, you're like on fire, so you have to get like heat resistant, like fire resistant, armor. In the Gerudo area, there's like, you're too hot, so you have to get heat resistant stuff, stuff to cool yourself off, so you can like make potions or get armors and stuff. We'll talk about all of that in a bit. There's cold areas where you need to get, warm clothes and stuff. Okay, that's fine. Those are the limitations, and that stuff is all great, and I love that stuff, and I think that's so immersive, and that's so good, and all of the armor sets that let you get around that stuff, all the items that you can use to make that stuff better, that is fantastic. That's all fine and well. It's a little annoying sometimes. I don't give a shit about that. That's all very cool, and all is very immersive with the world. Yeah, of course when you go into a cold area, you know, what is this, Final Fantasy, where Tifa's like got a tank top or whatever? No, this is fucking Zelda, where you do this shit right, and you make Link wear warm shit so Link doesn't freeze to death, right? Obviously. Immersion, great. The fucking rain is the shittiest fucking thing in this entire game. I honestly would teeter on, I could be persuaded to give this game a 10 if it were not for that fucking rain. The rain, the one thing about the rain that pisses me off so much is there's no way around it. And here's what the rain does. So you climb everywhere, right? That's the main mechanic of the game. You climb everywhere. It's your bread and butter. You go places, you do. That's fine. Yes. Then the rain comes in, and you can't climb anywhere, because every time you try to climb, you slip. And then everyone's like, well, you need a bigger stamina wheel. Well, I'm not going to spend all of my things on the spirit orbs on the stamina wheel like everyone else does. And even if you do that, you're never going to get anywhere in the rain climbing. So, and you can't use any of your gear in the rain because the fucking thunder, the lightning or whatever, you know, if you have a sword, a bow, a shield on you, for fuck's sake, there's wooden stuff that you can use and stuff, but it's like, you know, I'm not always gonna have that on me. You have all this like 98% of the armor, or not armor, everything else, all your equipment is gonna get electrocuted, and then you just basically die, like right away. In the rain, the worst mechanic of the game, easily. And here's the thing. I would be 100% on board with the rain. The rain is a fine mechanic. I would actually not like the rain. I mean, I don't even care. No. If there was a way if there was any sort of fucking way before you buy, before you buy Zelda, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, if there was any fucking way, if there was any way that I could mitigate the rain, and I have not found anything. Everyone, yeah, there's always a way. There's always a way to do something. If you're dying of heat, you put on the gear that lets you do something about it. You're freezing, you do something about it. You have shock enemies. There's electrical enemies. You fucking do something about it. There's gear for that. There's gear for everything. You want to sneak around? There's gear for that. You want to play this game like Metal Gear Solid or Skyrim or some shit? You got it. Go for it, man. You want to fucking up your attack? Yeah, I do. And I loved the Barbarian armor, by the way. That was my favorite armor. Yes. Do it. Also, as far as I could tell, there's no real, like a defense armor. I think that would have been kind of nice. There's one that defends you against guardians and stuff, but it's not like a full-on up your defense armor, which would have been helpful. I would have liked something like that. That might have made the game a little bit too easy. But, you know, it would have been like the system from all the other Zelda games where you get like the blue ring and you up your defense, you get the red ring, and it ups your attack kind of thing. Okay, anyway. Armor's great. Armor's great. That's a great thing. It's a great feature of the game. I love it. It's cool. You can upgrade your armor at the fairy fountains. You need certain elements. Not elements. Items from out the world. Stuff that enemies drop. Unlike Scarlet and Violet, this is done actually well. Sometimes you have to go kill the Lynels, which are a great addition to the game. By the way, super good combat things. I couldn't kill a Lynel in my last playthrough. Now I am a Lynel killing machine. They're still difficult, but, you know, I found a lot of ways to get around it, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Here, let's just end this point right now. The rain is shit. There's no way to get around it. If you know of a way, please tell me. I guarantee you there isn't a way, because nobody's ever told me a way that works. I hate the rain. It impedes all progress. There is a way to stop the rain if you go and you wait by a fire, and you wait, and sometimes it doesn't stop the rain, but a lot of times it will. But you can't always make a fire just anywhere in the rain because it's raining, obviously. So not very good. They literally impede you from changing the rain in all elements. So here's the thing. The rain also is in certain areas, and in certain areas it's always raining. That is annoying, but it's fine. It's totally fine. That makes for a challenging thing. You can't really climb in those areas. Yes, I get that. That is probably why the rain was there. Use it sparingly. I feel like more so than any other weather, like half the time it would be raining, and I couldn't do anything climbing. And this should be at a random location. I'm doing fine. I'm climbing up a mountain. Oh, it starts raining. Oh, well, I fall all the way down and die. Fuck that. I mean, that never really happened to me in this playthrough where I was like all the way at the top of a mountain when it started raining. I think it did happen to me like once, but I think I like recovered from it. But I had that in my initial playthrough where I would have times where it would just start raining as soon as I got to the top of the mountain, like almost to the top, and then I would just fall all the way down and die and have to start all over again, which was really annoying. Good pro tip, as soon as you can, find the climbing gear, because the climbing gear is super helpful. One of the best gears in the game in terms of, like, getting places and climbing stuff. Or upgrade your stamina wheel. That's always there, too. Okay, I'm done talking about the rain. Let's get into the more positive elements of the game. Well, wait. Is there any other negative elements? I'm sure there was something. There was a couple of things. I think, like, okay, one of the main new additions to this game is it's open world, obviously, so there's a lot of, like, you need content in an open world, right? There's got to be stuff to do in your open world. The main content of the world itself is these shrines. They're basically all like this thing. You go out and you find the shrine. Sometimes it's really difficult to find them. Sometimes you have to do a quest to find them, you know? I like a lot of that variety in how you find these shrines. A lot of times they're hidden in the side of mountains, and they're hidden underneath stuff. The very last shrine I had to find was down in this valley. And I kind of forgot that it was there, and I should have just done it. I heard it going off. They give you a little jingle, which is nice. I heard it going off, like, as I was there the first time, and I just didn't look around enough to find it. I'm like, oh, I'll find that one later. And then there's a video that shows where all the shrines are, and it kind of breaks it down by regions. And the bar at the bottom of the video for, like, scrolling through the video blocks the last shrine I needed. And so I would keep marking them on my map, which is nice. Infinite markers, well, 100 markers, by the way. Not infinite, but it feels like infinite. In this game, you really need them, too. Markers that you can place all around the map. You know, your heart out, Wind Waker, and all those other games that I've complained about this with. Scarlet and Violet, only one marker. What the fuck was that shit? Fuck that. Let me mark up the map, you do. Come on. Yeah, like, you know, in Spirit Tracks and stuff, and Phantom Hourglass, I can write on the map. Why can't I, you know, why can't I mark it? Like, put little indicators everywhere. That's great. I'm glad they did that. And it was a lot cooler on the gamepad, too, because you could just, like, you know, I know you could do that stuff on the, if you handheld mode. I don't play handheld mode. And if you do that, I did play a little bit of handheld mode, and it was like, oh my god, this screen is so tiny, you know? Like, what the fuck? I can't, after playing it on my big TV here, it's like, no, this is no way. It's like, this is fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, like, no, and I'm not playing it in handheld mode all the time. You know, no, fuck that. I don't know how people could read the map in handheld mode. Anyway, so, yeah, is this like, how long is this? This is eternal, man. Oh, I guess they're just going through different battle themes. So, what was I saying? The shrines. That's what I was getting at. Very well hidden, very well implemented. I think around the world, these shrines, I think it's really cool. You're always looking for them. And there's always, well, not always. I would say about a third of the shrines are just, you walk in, and the shrine is over, because you've already done the challenge by finding the shrine, like, through a side quest or something. And that's about, like, a third of them, you know? Which song is this? Oh, okay. It's the same thing. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's just go again. See what we can do here. God, there's so many of these. Oh, wow, that's 9 minutes long. Alright, anyway. So. Yeah, so you find these shrines out in the world, and, the first 4 of them are actually on the Great Plateau. Is there 4 of them? Yeah, I think there's 4 of them on the Great Plateau. And you get these runes in them, which allow you to do different things. There's a magnesis power where you can kind of like lift things up, certain things that are like chests and boxes and stuff. And that one actually comes in handy, like if you don't have a weapon on you, or if they restrict you to not having a weapon, you can pick up a big box and just kind of slam it against enemies and stuff. That's always really helpful. Or you can pick up a treasure chest that's like in the water, like in the distance or something, or like stuck in the ground. That's kind of cool. That was a good mechanic. There is like a time freezing one where you freeze time on an object for an unlimited amount of time, and like so some of the bigger enemies like Lionels and stuff, it's like very brief that you can like get it, but you can still freeze them, which is cool. Pro tip: freeze your enemies. That makes it a lot easier to get through this game. So you have that. You can freeze the enemies, and if you hit them with your sword, the small ones especially, there's momentum on your thing, on your, as long as you hit them a bunch of times. So they'll like go flying off sometimes if they're really small, or they'll probably die at that rate. But yeah, it does a lot of damage too. So, and especially with enemies like the Lionels that are super big, and you know, you have to like dodge around them and stuff, it makes it, you kind of have to find a window to even freeze them because they're so fast. But like, it's yeah, if you freeze them, then you can go around and like hit their legs and stuff, and then they'll like fall over. So it does make it a lot easier, especially with the big enemies. That's like a really handy thing to do. So there's that one, and you could also hit objects. There's a lot of shrines and little puzzles around the world that are related to you hitting the object at the perfect amount of hitting the object to make it go just far enough, you know, to like reach whatever, like this little hole or whatever it is you're trying to get it to do. So, yeah. So, you know, there's that, and then you have the bomb runes. You have two of them. You have like a square one that you can kind of set down and it won't roll around and stuff, and then you have like a circular one, which is like it will roll around and stuff. I don't know. It does kind of make a little bit of a difference because, you know, if you just want to like set one, you don't want it to like roll around, you just want to set it in a specific spot, you should use the square one. So yeah, you have two of those. The circle and the square bomb rune, and then a freezing rune, which you can use to make elevated like little platforms out of the water, and so you can kind of go over big gaps of water, or you know, use it in shrines to like lift stuff, or yeah, like lift doors and stuff that like there's water underneath, that kind of thing. Kind of like Golden Sun, actually. That is very much like Golden Sun. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, it's just like Golden Sun. That's cool. So, yeah, there's that one. And then there's like a camera one, like, you know, whatever. You take pictures or whatnot. It's a mechanic in the game. You can take pictures of different things. You can fill up your gallery by taking pictures of all the enemies or whatever. I don't think it actually does anything. I don't think there's any reward for that. So yeah, the shrines themselves, though, you use these mechanics. You get all of those straight away. So that's another big change. The traditional items of Zelda games, you know, where you go and you get this item and then that'll let you do things. That's no longer a thing in the game. Which in itself can be seen as a flaw. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, but it does subtract a lot of the Zelda charm of, oh, now I have this item, where in the world can I go? Oh, I can use this over here and this and that, and now that I have this item. But in this game, they just kind of give you the freedom to go and do everything kind of right away, only locking you off by not having a certain equipment or a certain you know, like if you don't have enough stamina to get up to a certain place or something, or you don't have enough hearts to like take on these enemies. But you know, if you're good enough, you can mitigate all that. So also after the Great Plateau, you get this thing that's like a paraglider. So you get to you can just kind of glide. If you're on like a really tall ledge, you can just kind of glide into the distance. And it's all based off of your stamina. That's another really big reason you want to upgrade your stamina. I made it through most of the game with 2 stamina wheels, and that's it. And I thought that was fine for myself. By the end, I did have 2 extra little parts to it, because that's how the shrine, the spirit orbs play out. And I'll get to that in a second. Just the number of them, because there's 120. I upgraded fully my hearts. Most people upgrade till like 2 before so they can upgrade, or like 2 or 3 hearts missing so they can upgrade the whole 3rd stamina wheel. If you want to do that, that's fine. I think you can make it through most of the game. If you just go 2 full stamina wheels and then 2 more, so that'd be like 8 more spirit orbs invested to get like another little partial one there, and then just fill up your hearts. I would say I think that's the premium method there. Most people would just tell you to fill up as many stamina wheels as possible. There is a limit. I found that the heart max is the like 20 or whatever I had. Maybe it was like 28. I don't know. It was a lot. The heart bar is like super long. Or bar, you know, I guess it is kind of a bar. You know what I mean. Anyway. Yeah, so the shrines. I keep getting distracted from this. So each one offers unique little challenges outside of the 3rd that are just like blessings, like I said. What is the purpose of these shrines? Where you get these spirit orbs at the end of each shrine, which there's statues all around the world, and there's one at the Temple of Time at the beginning of the game that let you trade in 4 of them for a heart container, or a little bit more on your stamina wheel, you know, another chunk of your stamina wheel there. So I like this. I think it becomes it's a good replacement for heart pieces, I would say. In a sense, I still kind of miss the heart piece thing, but I would say maybe in the next Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom or whatever, if they could do a system where you don't necessarily have to finish a shrine to... Because the blessing shrines are pretty pointless. Like, I get that the spirit orbs are from the monks or whatever, but find a way that the spirit orbs can be given to you by... I mean, people have those the balls that you put in the little pedestals or the platforms or whatever that have the hole in them so you can, like, open a shrine, right? They have those. Why can't they have, like, the spirit orbs? So, give players, or NPCs, the ability to just hold these spirit orbs, and then so when you finish a quest or something, you can just get it that way. You don't have to, like, oh, now a shrine opened up, and now I have to go in there to grab it from the monk. Like, what was the point of that, you know? Like, I would say replace all the blessing ones with just a person that gives them to you. Or you could have some blessing ones, you know, and then, but also... That way you can just, like, put them in chests and stuff, too. Like, let's say there's this really cool pre-shrine one, a really memorable one anyway, called Eventide Island, which is essentially, this cut-off island where you, when you enter it, you lose all of your equipment, and you kind of have to scavenge for new equipment and stuff, and that's a cool concept, and I really liked that. It's pretty challenging, because you actually have to take 3 orbs. You have to take one from a Hinox, which is like this big, orcish kind of monster, sort of thing. Like a Cyclops, almost, you know, because he's got, like, the one eye. Kind of like that. Think of that. So, yeah. Big old troll Cyclops kind of guy. You take one from him. That's the hardest one. Actually, it's really not that hard when you figure out you can use the magnesis to get the boxes. There's boxes over there. They do break eventually, but you can get the boxes, and the boxes will do like a ton of damage. That's a lot of damage, you know. You can do a lot of damage to the Hinox, and so it makes it a lot easier. Or you could just fly from up above and then get down onto like his belly and just slash the thing off, grab it, go put it in the holder. He'll stop following you eventually, so I think that's probably the easier way to do it. I think that's how I ended up doing it. Yeah, so that, and then there's like a couple other challenges up there. A lot of them are just kind of like sneaking around and then putting the orb into those things. Anyway, point is, they take all your stuff away from you. There's a shrine up there, and then like, you know, that's fine. But like, what if at the end of that you're just, I don't know, there's just a chest and it's like, oh hey, there's a spirit orb. I don't know why. I just wanted to bring that one up because that's an interesting kind of shrine quest. There's one in Kakariko Village where you have to like help all these villagers. You have to do like the classic like cuckoo collecting quest, and like you have to like trail this guy and help this guy find this fairy fountain and all this stuff. Like you trail this guy, you find out he's working with like the Sheikah, or the Sheikah were actually no, the Sheikah like took his family or something. I don't remember. Anyway, you have to fight like one of the or the Yiga, not the Sheikah. The Yiga took his family, which are like, they were the Sheikah at some point. They have like all of the symbol, the gear, like the symbols on them, like the eye thing or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, there's this clan called the Yiga that like you go and confront their leader in the Gerudo Desert like later on, and stuff. But like they'll just like kind of pop up randomly around the world. Once you've defeated the leader, those kind of pop up around the world. Or they're NPCs out in the world that you go and talk to, and they're just like, oh, blah, 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 I'm having a nice day. Isn't this a nice day out? Blah, blah, blah. Or they're saying some, you know, nice, non-assuming stuff. And then all of a sudden they're like, have you accepted our Lord and Savior, the Yiga clan into your life? And they're like, oh, you haven't? Oh, wait, you're Link? Oh, well, time to fight to the death, you know? So, actually, the reason I really enjoy this as a concept is because in Zelda 2, there were villagers sometimes that would just randomly turn into bats and then like try to fight you and stuff. And it not necessarily that it was that, but I thought it was kind of a callback to Zelda 2, which is an underrepresented game in the franchise. And I thought, oh, that's really cool that they called back to Zelda 2 with the whole villagers. That's what it felt like to me initially. So I just thought, it's a really cool like reference. There's a lot of references to other Zeldas in this game, you know, which is cool in terms of like landmarks and stuff that are like from previous Zeldas, which is a little confusing with the whole timeline thing, because it's like certain, like basically all of the, like you have Lanayru and Faron as well as the Kokiri Forest and stuff, which is like they're supposed to be kind of like the same thing. So like how does that work? You know, like I don't know. There's a theory that like it's in all of the timelines. It like remerges the timelines or something. They didn't really touch on that like in the game, but like that's kind of cool to think about. Like all of these land masses are there because like all the 3 different Hyrules were like merged into one, and then like yeah. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And I don't really necessarily know that it was, but like I don't know how I really got this notion either. But Eventide Island is like way out, far out into the ocean kind of thing, and I thought it was kind of like maybe they're trying to reference like Link's Awakening, like Koholint Island or whatever, which is kind of cool. This is really not like a an ocean area in the game. If there was, if that was like the closest to is that little area there. But like, yeah, so the shrines, that's what we're still talking about, these shrines. Anyway, see, there's a lot of quests like that'll kind of get you to a shrine. And I like these spirit orbs as a concept. I think that is a good idea, and they need to just not put one in every shrine. There's no point to make a shrine every time there's a spirit orb. Now, shrines are also a warp point, so you can like warp to each of them, and that's kind of how you get around the world fast. They're fast travel points, essentially. but since they're hidden, a lot of times you kind of have to like crawl your way out of a certain area, or there's like one shrine that's like in this like area of darkness. Like you never want to warp to that one, but it's like there's no good warp points up on that part of the map, and there's like 2 Lionels up there I wanted to go and fight a lot, but I couldn't like get there. I just have to go like a long way around to get there. There's no good way to get there. I wish there was like a shrine up there. There is an item in the DLC. I said I'm not going to talk about the DLC so much, but it is helpful because it is like a warp medallion thing that you can just kind of set up a point anywhere on the map and just warp to it. I would say if you're going to play this game and if you're going to be like, I want to get the DLC regardless of anything else, you should get the DLC just for that, you know, and because of maybe some of the equipment that you can get. So yeah. All right, that's as much as I'm gonna say about that. We're gonna be talking. I swear, we're gonna talk about the DLC in a separate video. Anyway, so back to the shrine. So yeah. So there's 120 of them. Some of them are really hard to find. Some of them are really hard. There's really not one that's like super hard to do. There's a couple of annoying ones that have like motion control stuff. With this controller on the Wii U gamepad, it was like similar, where it was kind of, you had to do some weird things. I'm not even exaggerating when I'm like, you have to like, you literally sometimes have to like flip it around and shit. And it's odd because it's not like, it's not always the best, like, you know, it doesn't always work the best. Sometimes there's these little stations and you can like flip certain like torch things or whatever. I always hated those. If it was like, because there was like water spouts that would come and like destroy the torch, like put the torches out, and you have to like light all the torches to get in there. Usually with those, as long as it wasn't like a blue flame one, I would just like light them with like a fire arrow or something, you know, like that kind of thing. And that's nice that the game gives you the opportunity to do stuff like that. It gives you the freedom to do that kind of thing, which is nice. Kind of solve puzzles in creative ways. There's like puzzles where you have to like connect electricity through like certain like lines of electricity. They'll like go and then they'll stop. If you put an object there, it'll like connect it and stuff. And you can use like metal swords and like electricity object, like you have electricity swords and like fire swords and like blizzard swords and stuff, which are cool because they actually like electrocute enemies or put enemies on fire. Sometimes like the Lionels and stuff, it doesn't always do it too, but and the arrows, you have like shock arrows, free ice arrows, fire arrows, you know, bomb arrows. You have all of that stuff. They have like really similar effects to those items, so that's kind of cool that they added that kind of thing. But yeah, so anyway, there's a lot of little cool things you can do like that in the game, and that comes in handy in the shrines a lot, as well as little tricks like that. But you gotta be careful because like there's certain shrines where you need to like pick up a block of ice or something, and if you have a fire sword on your back, it's gonna start melting. But also conversely to that, you know, that's like maybe like that's a good thing, but it's also like kind of a negative. It's not really a negative, but you know what I mean. Conversely to that, if you're out in like, let's say, a freezing area and you equip a fire sword, the little gauge will go more towards you being warm rather than cold, which is nice. I mean, they thought about this. That's good. There's a lot of cool things like that. So there's actually like on the Great Plateau, there's like a little section where there is like a cold area, and you kind of have to figure out like, hey, how do I get through this? And it kind of teaches you. It's a good tutorial area, by the way. It really kind of gives you a taste for the whole game. But it teaches you like, hey, you have to either like make a potion or something that's gonna like let you go in the cold, or you'll have to have items to like heal yourself up there, because the problem with the like the weather stuff, the downside, like the thing that affects you, the consequences is what I'm trying to say, of you going into these areas too hot or too cold or whatever, is you start losing hearts, and if you don't have a lot of those, you know, you can't really do it. So I've heard a lot of people say about how they were in the cold area in the initial thing, and they like brought a torch with them with a flame to keep them warm. Like that's a way to do it. You know, they figured out how to make a fire elixir or something, or like a, you know, a cold, whatever, the cold resistant elixir thing or something. They figured that out. You know, they just kept healing themselves, you know, getting up there. There's all sorts of creative ways to do it, and that's what's cool about it, you know. I don't think you can get a flame item that early in the game, but that would have been a way to do it, you know. And then when you get up there, if you talk to the old man, he'll give you the warm doublet, so you can at least go into like the not like the severely cold areas, but like the moderately cold areas. There's like two tiers basically of like first level cold and like second level cold. Like heat, there's the same way. There's like first level heat, second level heat. Actually, in the Gerudo Desert, what's interesting is it gets really cold at night, so you kind of have to flip-flop between having the warm gear and the cold gear, like, you know, that kind of thing, which is interesting. So yeah. But, what was I talking about? So yeah, something about the shrines. I don't know. Anyway, so I think I've pretty much talked about the shrines. 120 of them. So you finish all of them, and it's not really an easy thing to do. It's if you do finish all of them, you will now have a ton of hearts or a ton of stamina or both, and also you can go to this like really remote. It's in this valley, and like there's like a million guardians in this little area, like protecting this area. There's actually a shrine back there, so that's what I did. I just went earlier in the game and then like weaved my way through the guardians with my paraglider and just like ran for it to get to the shrine. And there's a goddess statue back there too, so you can like trade in your orbs and stuff. Oh shit. That would have been a helpful one. I always went back to either the Temple of the Time or the Terry Town to do those statues, but there was one right there. Damn it. Or the Springs of Power, Courage, and Wisdom. Those are also a good place to go and turn in your spirit orbs. But those require that you actually like go and find the dragons and stuff. So it's like, but yeah, the one at the temple. Yeah, that would have been a good one. God, I didn't even think of that. So pro tip, go once you get that one unlocked, you can just go there to trade in your spirit orbs. Alright, so anyway, you go there, and at the very end of the game, if you you know, it would have to be it would have to be the end of the game, because there's certain ones that you have to beat the main dungeons to get the quests for. Anyway, so once you have all the 120 shrines done, you can get the original, you know, like this kind of Link, like his green tunic, the classic iconic green tunic Link, which really at the end of the day isn't that great of gear. I mean, it doesn't have any good benefits. If that was the defense one, that would have been worth it. That would have been cool. They needed to do that. They didn't do that, though. What would have also been cool is if they'd given you a choice between red and blue, like in Link's Awakening or whatever. You know, so defense or attack. Now that would have been neat. I would have liked to have seen that. That would have been that would have been fucking cool. I really wish they had done that. Actually, now that we're talking about it, so but they don't. So it's just, you just get the green gear. Oh, how about that? So you get the green gear, but you get to upgrade it into red or blue, but at the Great Fairies, and you would have a choice. That would be cool. What if you had branching path choices to your upgrades at the Great Fairy? Now that would be neat. I would like that a lot. But they don't do that, so that's you know, that is what it is. So yeah, it's just a standard kind of gear. It's really not that great. It's okay. It's an okay gear. It's kind of disappointing, once you kind of realize that, you did all of that for that. It's a cool reward, don't get me wrong. But I feel like a lot of the main completionist things in this game are problematic, to say the least. Doing 120 shrines takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you've done so many of the great challenges of the game, and I know, that's the friends we made along the way, right? The challenges were the real treasure all along, but, like, it just bothers me that they didn't give you something more, like, I'm not ungrateful. I just it feels a little bit of a letdown. Anyway, it's cool though. I like that. It's a nice reward. It's at least something of a reward. Uh, let's talk about the other big completionist thing. And you knew we were gonna come to this. The Korok seeds. Now, throughout the game, there's 900 and fucking 60 something goddamn Korok things everywhere. Everywhere. In every little crevice of the overworld, there's these things called the Koroks. You know, the Koroks from Wind Waker and all that stuff. And there's so fucking many of them. Which I would say it is a good thing, because the idea is, no matter where you are in the world, you see a little puzzle. Often it's as simple as, hey, here's a rock. Here's a circle of rocks. It's incomplete. Oh, go put the rock there. Oh, cool. Look, there's a Korok, Okay, cool. But it can range from that, jumping into like a circle of lily pads, Oh, okay, that's pretty obvious, It can range from that to like, throw a boulder at a very specific angle, or hit a rock at the top of a hill and just hope that you make it into this hole, or like follow these flowers like across the map, or like not across the entire map, like across a big chunk of that little section of the map, or the worst ones are like, here, fly to this area within a certain amount of time, or the ones where you like shoot the little balloons, that's not so bad. Or like really just finding them is the tricky part. Sometimes there's like an acorn like really well hidden within like a tree, or like a forest of trees. Even if you know specifically where the Korok is supposed to be, it's not always obvious what the thing there is. Sometimes you just lift a random rock and then there's a Korok, and there could be hundreds of rocks, there's thousands, there's like tens of thousands of rocks in this game. Maybe millions. I don't fucking know. They're just everywhere. And what do you gotta lift them all? Is Zelda 1? Is that what we're doing here? The game did take a lot of inspiration from Zelda 1 and the open world mechanic, but look, at least you don't have to burn every bush or whatever. I do love Zelda 1, and I still think it's a great game, but yeah, it gets a little... But it's cool. It's like, some things in that game are so fucking well hidden. And in the same respect, some Koroks in this game are really well hidden as well, and the shrines. And I respect that, and I think that's cool, and I think that adds some mystery and some replayability to the game. I just wish that the Koroks actually served a purpose past a certain point. What they do is you find this big Korok guy, Hetsu or whatever, and you find him initially, and then you find him in the Korok Forest later, and he'll always be there after that, which is nice. Finding him initially, though, is a pain in the ass. He can be in, like, one of, like 200 spots or something. It's ridiculous. Because I looked it up, and, like, nobody had the right one, and then I always remember being near this, like, tree or whatever in my initial playthrough, and I think that's where you're always supposed to meet him at first, but everyone's like, oh, you go here, you go here, you go here. I saw him here first, here first, here. Like, come on, get to a consensus or whatever. It's just like, you think this information would be common knowledge by now, but it's just, this is not as easy as that. So you find this guy, what he does is you have a limited amount of weapons, shields, and bows that you can carry prior to talking to this guy. And so you give him your Korok seeds. At first it starts out at 1 and then goes to like 3 and it eventually gets to like 50. The ones that are the most helpful are the sword ones, and then I would say maybe like the shield, bow. Those ones aren't as important. The sword ones, the weapon ones, you need to get all of those as soon as you fucking can. Carrying more shields and stuff is nice. But I found like a lot of I would use my shields all the time and they wouldn't break. They're actually really resilient compared to the weapons and stuff. I suppose I was using the weapons a lot more, and I did often use two-handed weapons so I probably wasn't using my shields as often. But even my bows would stay on for a long time. Like, they would stick around for forever. I think if the weapons were more, the durability system was more in the vein of the shields and the bows, it would have been a better kind of system. I just feel like every time I'm using a weapon, it's ready to break almost, you know? Which is fine, because I give you weapons all the time in the game, and that's, you get weapons off enemies, from chests and stuff, so you're always replenishing your weapons. It's an interesting system, the durability thing. I don't really care. I don't think it was a bad mechanic. I don't think it was great either. I think they needed some kind of crafting system so you could fix your weapons. There are NPCs in the world that'll fix certain weapons for you, but those are like special weapons, so like, and they usually need like diamonds or something, which is like a really rare commodity in the game. So I don't know about that. It is cool though that there's certain vendors throughout the world. Beetle's in the game, by the way. Beetle, he's great. You see him at all the stables. There's so much to talk about. There's stables in the game where you can go. There are little rest stops everywhere. There's always a shrine like right next to them or whatever. But anyway, there's these like little rest stops. You get quests there, and you can register your horses there. You can tame horses in this game throughout the wild. There's lots of horses. You can just jump on them and you hit the button to soothe them or whatever, and then you bring them to stable and you tame them. That's cool. I didn't really engage with that mechanic all that much, but yeah, that's a thing. Or you can stay the night. There's like an inn, so you can restore all your health. And if you stay in the soft bed, which just costs a little more, you get like extra hearts or whatever. There's like these temporary hearts that you can get, basically. If you don't have like a full heart thing like I did. So essentially you could get to that point temporarily where you have all of those hearts by cooking the right stuff or whatever. Anyway, God, we gotta talk about all of that in a second here. What was I even talking about? I was just talking about something. The weapon durability system. I wish there was a way to craft or fix weapons. Would have been nice. Even if you had to like go and hunt materials or whatever. But I get that would like take longer and all this stuff. So at that point, just let me like buy or go to like a blacksmith or something and get it fixed like in Skyrim or whatever. Do they have that in Skyrim? What game is that? I think it's Skyrim, right? Where your weapons kind of wear out and then you go and get them fixed or something. Pretty sure that's Skyrim. Anyway, something like that would have been nice. But then how do you, keep spreading these weapons throughout the world? I don't know. I don't know. I can't really fix your durability system, Nintendo. You do it yourself. I've seen videos and stuff about it. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Anyway, it's still fine. I don't really care about all that. But anyway, that's what I was talking about, the Korok seeds. So the Hetsu, he upgrades your slots so you can get a bunch more items and stuff. And it's really essential in the game to get more weapons and whatnot. You always want to have as many weapons as you can. So I would say upgrading that one first is really important. And then, do a few bow and shield upgrades for sure. Because those are cheaper at the beginning. So Anyway, so you find these Koroks throughout the world. I found like 265 or something like that, you know, somewhere below 300. So like less than a third of them I found. And I was looking all over the place. You know, I'd stop every now and again. I actually did map out like all of them in a region sometimes just to kind of go and get them. There were days where I was playing this game where I would just sit there on my day off and just go around and do all the shrines in a region and all the Korok seeds in that region, and just you know, like the ice region or whatever. I remember just spending a day doing that, you know, looking around, getting the Korok seeds and the shrines and stuff. So it does keep you busy. It's good content throughout the world, and it makes little secrets hidden everywhere, you know? And I actually really, really like that. They can put, you know, something in a little corner somewhere that you're not necessarily going to find, and it can be really difficult to see, but then you find it and it's there. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing if you're trying to like find Koroks, you know, if you're really intentionally searching them out. Reasonably, you should be able to find them pretty easily considering there's 900 of them, but surprisingly sometimes it's actually kind of hard to find them. So anyway, but they're everywhere, so that's just kind of, you know, they're hidden in all little back corners and everything. I think there should have been something better than the reward that you get at the end of the Korok quest. I think you definitely should have at least gotten some new armor or something, a new upgrade, something, anything. I don't know. But then they would have had that content locked behind 900 Koroks, which is ridiculous. So, if anything, I would say make it an aesthetic thing. Not something that's like super game breaking or whatever. Kind of like the tunic, the green tunic thing. After finishing all the shrines, you know, they could have gave me something else too for that. Or put a super powerful weapon or something that wouldn't break at the end of that. But then people are going to complain, well, I don't want to do all 900 Korok things. And it's like, yeah, me either. I'm not doing it. I don't know. You figure it out, you know? I'm not your game designer here. I'm just saying, like, what you get at the end of the Korok quest is you get a piece of shit, basically. It's literally a piece of shit that they give you. And then you find out the Korok seeds are actually just Korok shit. So, okay, whatever. He's a shit collector, the guy. So, yeah. There's no purpose to the piece of shit. You don't get to trade it in for infinite rupees or something. That would have broken the game, but what if they just did that? They just gave you infinite money for it. By that point, if you've did all the Koroks, like, you deserve infinite money at that point. Come on, anything, dude. You gotta give them something big for doing all of that. No, I'm gonna stand by it. Go big or go home. I don't care if, I don't give a shit if, you lock something big behind there. It's a big quest. So if you're gonna do all of that, you deserve something big. You deserve infinite money. Go for it. I think that's what should have been in the game. Yeah. So, speaking of money, you can pick up lots of items throughout the world, or you can't sell your weapons or your shields or any of that, which is kind of weird. I think that you should be able to sell that stuff. That would have definitely incentivized me to pick stuff up and then sell it, and you know, because a lot of times I just leave good weapons and stuff behind, but it would be an interesting mechanic if I could be like, hey, maybe I should make room for this because it's actually worth money, you know, kind of thing. So there's that. So there's a whole mechanic in the game. So yeah, rupees. Sorry, before I get to that, rupees. So you get rupees, obviously. That's what you sell stuff for. You can also sell monster parts to this one guy, Kilton, to get this stuff called Mon. It's just basically a different currency that you can use with him to buy stuff like the Shadow Link armor and stuff, which apparently gives you good stealth, which is useful in some circumstances in the game. There's actually one shrine quest out in the Korok Forest or whatever, where you have to tail this Korok for forever, and it sucks. And it's probably one of the worst ones, because he'll always find you, and it's just really tedious, and then you have to start all the way over from the beginning. Actually, that quest, the worst shrine quest, is indicative of where we're going with the DLC. So we'll talk about that when we talk about the DLC next time. So, yeah, tailing this guy. So it would have made it a lot easier had I had, like, the Shadow Link armor. You can actually buy the Sheikah set at the first in Kakariko Village there. I didn't do that. I should have done that. I didn't do that. That increases your stealth. I didn't really have money at the beginning of the game, so I just kind of wrote it off. I'm like, oh, I don't really ever need to be stealthy, you know, this isn't Metal Gear Solid. There are times in the game where it comes in handy, though. I think there's like a sneak strike mechanic, too. I never really got that to work, because I was never stealthy. There is a part where you go, you have to go to the Yiga clan thing. I talked about that. It's kind of like an own mini dungeon, sort of thing. In the Gerudo area there, in the desert. And you, so you have to kind of sneak through that area, too. Otherwise, you'll get, bombarded by all the Yigas, which are like semi-tough enemies. It's really, if you get a bunch of them on you, you're not going to be able to make it through. There's actually a fight later in the I was talking about earlier, in the Kakariko side quest, where you have to fight a Yiga guy, and it's one of the big ones with the long swords or whatever. By the time I got there, it wasn't really that much of a challenge, but everyone's like, oh, this is a super hard fight, just watch out. And it's like, no, it wasn't that hard, because I was already, like, almost fully upgraded. That was like trying 113 or something, you know, like, very far into the game I had to do that. Yeah, so, like, fighting one of them ain't that bad. Fighting, like, 10 of them, not really, very, very feasible to do unless you're, like, really, really good. Or you have, like, super good armor and equipment, you, like, fully maxed it out or whatever. So I've kind of talked about the equipment and stuff. Let's see. What I want to talk about next was the, so the Great Fairy Fountains. There's 4 of them throughout the world. One next to Kakariko. There's one, over near Terrytown. There's one, out in near the icy area, the cold area there. And then there's one, where's the last one? Oh, out in the Gerudo Desert, like, very far into the Gerudo Desert. It's, like, literally the bottom, left corner of the map. Like, the most southwest you can get in the entire game. There's one out there. So that's probably the last one you're going to run into. I actually ran into the one next to Terrytown last. So, so yeah, so each one successively asks you for more and more rupees. Really, the main point of rupees in this game, outside of, like, upgrading your house or buying certain things, there's, like, a quest where you need to pay for a hint. You really don't use rupees that often. I use them to buy arrows, is what I use them to buy. You can get arrows out in the world, but it's just easier to buy them. Every time I find Beetle, I buy arrows, you know. I think, like, once you do the main quest, you'll have, like, enough shock arrows and stuff. But if... Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat there. If you go and buy them, also, it's actually a lot easier. So, the Great Fairy Fountains, you find them out there, and you spend a bunch of rupees and whatever, and, you can get fairies there, which is, like, one of the only places to get fairies in the game. There's also on a mountaintop somewhere. I didn't find it in this playthrough, but I did find it in the Wii U playthrough. And it's actually, like, heart-shaped or something. Like, you go up there and you get fairies. I used to do that a lot as well. So there's that. So that's kind of cool. I wish I had found that in this playthrough. I kind of forgot about that, honestly. That's pretty cool. So at these fairy fountains, you can get fairies, which do the same thing. They kind of revive you like they do in previous Zelda games. You don't really need empty bottles or whatever, which is nice. But you can only carry a couple of them, kind of thing. But the great fairies, they will upgrade your armors and stuff. So I didn't really bother with it too much. The ones that I did do were, and, you know, a lot of the stuff that you need for most of the other ones aren't that hard to get. So I would say it's worth upgrading most of that stuff anyway. I just didn't really invest in it too much. I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to these kind of games. I like to keep my stuff in case I need it, which ends up not happening. I have so many like ancient screws and like all of the ancient stuff that you get off of Guardians. I'll talk about Guardians here in a second. There's so much to fucking talk about in this game. Because I was saving up to buy the gear from the Akala research lab thing or whatever. The robot there, the Guardian gear. But like, I'm like, I could have just sold some of this for rupees, but I always was like, I can't sell my stuff for rupees because what if I need it? The materials around the world, there's like rocks that you can hit. They're like very clearly obvious which ones they are. If you hit them with a hammer, it just takes one time. Also, you can cut down trees in this game to get wood. Wood you can use to make fires, and just like if you have like a fire item, you just hit it, or otherwise you use flint with the wood, and then you can like wait times like I was talking about earlier. You can go morning, noon, night. Sometimes there's like timed events like the dragons and stuff. Anyway, point being, or the rain if you want the rain to fucking stop. That's a way to do that. Anyway, if you hit these rocks, you can get rare items. Like sometimes you get rubies and sapphires and stuff, and you get opal, and all this stuff is like valuable. You could sell it pretty easily. It all respawns. But I was always just like, my precious, what if I need this to upgrade an item or something? It's like, how am I going to need like 100 opals or something to upgrade an item? I don't know, maybe. I could have sold some of that. I'm such a hoarder when it comes to that. Jeez, I don't know. Anyway. So, what was I talking? Oh, just rupees. So, the Great Fairies... the last one is like 10,000 rupees, which is like such an unfathomable amount of rupees. It literally, like, I had to sell a bunch of stuff, and like, luckily I had like 4,000 or something. I don't know how I ended up doing that. I made it work somehow. Yeah, I had to sell some stuff to get to there. You know what I find interesting, actually? They let you sell your armor, which should be something you shouldn't be able to sell, but they don't let you sell your weapons. It's something permanent, your armor, right? That you've upgraded and stuff, like, you put time into. They'll let you sell that, but they won't let you sell this disposable fucking weapon. Like, how much sense does that make? You know? Or shield, or, bow. And I think that would have alleviated some of the problems of, like, hey, like, I don't have any rupees, you know, at the moment. So, sort of thing. But they give you rupees all over the place. As long as you're kind of paying attention, you can, like, pick up chests and stuff that have rupees in them. Okay, I say all over the place. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the one way to get rupees. Sometimes they'll, like, if you do side quests and stuff, they'll pay you for them. I didn't do a lot of side quests. I did a fair amount of side quests. I do like side quests in this game. I think that's a really good addition because, you know, not only for the shrines and stuff. Like I said, you could just cut out the shrines and have NPCs give spirit orbs. I think that would be a good idea. But anyway, you know, NPCs give you a whole bunch of stuff, and what would have been nice is maybe some, like, exclusive armor sets through, like, that kind of stuff would be nice. Maybe there's something like that. I don't know. I don't really think so. But, yeah, so a lot of the side quests are pretty standard. You know, you just kind of go to a spot, And then, yeah, see, it's all Kakariko Village now. That's fine. I mean, it's just trying to find... Okay, what's this? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so if there had been some more unique rewards like that, that would have been kind of cool. And sometimes they do have that, and sometimes not. Anyway, so... The side quests are pretty good. So I did a fair amount of those. That's usually kind of the only way to get rupees. So you need that for the Great Fairies to unlock the Great Fairies. And also you need them to buy your house. Initially it's like 3,000 rupees or something to buy your house. I mean, compared to the Great Fairies, that's not a lot, but it's still a lot. Like, especially early on. The theory is that that was Link's house in Hateno Village, like, all along. There's only like 3 towns in this game, and one of them you actually have to build. So there's Kakariko Village, there's Hateno Village, and then there's Terry Town, which is the one you have to build, which we'll talk about in a second here. I'm kind of leading into that. So your house that you buy in Hateno Village, the theory was it was kind of your house 100 years ago, and it's been vacant ever since. And they were about to tear it down, but you can buy it for 3,000 rupees, and then the guy will like build you 3 weapon stands, and you can get like 3 bow stands or whatever, so you can like permanently put an item there so it's not in your inventory. I think in your house you should have been able to buy a chest that you can store 50 items. You know, if you don't want to break your system, maybe 20 items. I don't know, 20 to 50, somewhere in there. I think that's pretty reasonable. Swords and shields and stuff. That would disencourage you to use your items though, and then you're just hoarding them. So I get that. They want you to use your items. So yes and no. But I would have liked that. I would have really enjoyed that. Another like criticism of the house I've seen is that this is why I don't like watching videos and stuff beforehand, but I needed something on the side, so I'm like, oh, I'll just watch some Zelda videos, you know. It's like the bed that you get is just a regular bed, so it'll just refill your hearts, which is nice. It's fine, you know, it's good. But why not a soft bed? Why didn't it like why not some kind of option to some kind of system where you have to like feed it something, you wash your sheets or something that costs some kind of resource, and that makes it a soft bed, and then you can have extra hearts or something. I don't know. Or you have to pay for the soft bed. I don't know. Even if it's super expensive. So anyway, that's just like a little thing. So you get this house, they nickel and dime you for everything. You have to like buy a door and stuff. It's so stupid. But you know, once you get it all furnished and whatever, it's an okay house. It doesn't really matter. I didn't do anything outside of the weapon mounts and the bed. Why put a door on there? It just takes extra time. I'll just walk in there, you know? Fuck that. What do you need a door for? Aesthetic? You're to spend 100 rupees on aesthetics? Like, really? It needs to be practical, motherfucker. I don't live there in real life. You know, in real life, I'm not going to take my door off of my house, but, you know, in this game, it's not like something's going to get in there and destroy anything. No, it's just something going to come in and steal my stuff. No, I don't need a door. Fuck that. Anyway, so you talk to this guy, I don't remember his name, some guy, there, and he has, like, his 2 other people there. And, eventually, once you buy the house, this one guy goes off something's son, because everyone in the Terry Town is Son. That's the last part of their name is Son. You know, Son, like S-O-N, you know, kind of thing. So this guy goes off. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the Akala region, and I'm gonna start my own town or something. I know this great spot, kind of thing. So yeah, so he goes off. Once you buy the house, that is, and that's when you can start upgrading your house. And then he forms this area called Terry Town, and at first it's just him, and he's just got his house, and he's like, go get wood, and so it's like this infamous thing, like you just basically have to go and get him like 10 wood, and then 20 wood, and then 50 wood, you know? It's like, go gather wood side quests. Anyway, not a big deal. I don't care about the wood part. That's fine, you know? It's a little busy work, I guess, for the game. Then he actually asks you to go and get people from around the world. And at this point, you know, if you play Dragon Quest 3, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, it's like in Dragon Quest 3 when you go and start that town or whatever. It's very similar to that, actually. It's exactly like that. It's super like that. They probably took so much inspiration from that. So yeah, so you start this town, and then one person from each like area. So there's like 4 different areas in the game that are crucial to finishing the game, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Literally, we haven't even gotten to the main quest yet. And, you know, I'm already an hour 20 fucking minutes into this shit. So each area, so there's like a Rito area, you know, the bird people. There's like the Gerudo area, you know, like the tall, sexy female women people. The Goron area, of course, you gotta have the Gorons. And then there's the Zora area. So one of each of those, and then I think you also need to get like one other person too. But anyway, you get one of those people from each of the area. He needs them for like specific things. Like I think the first one is a Goron because he needs to help building and stuff. You know, and I didn't even like. Did I make the Goron the second one that I did? Okay, what order did I do this in? It's been so long now. It's not so long. I mean, it's only been a couple weeks, but it feels like a lot because there's a lot of content in this game, obviously, to talk about. We haven't gotten to the main quest yet. We'll segue into that with this. So, I think I want. Yeah, so obviously, okay, so I went to the Rito one first. I usually do that one first, and then I did the Goron one, and then the Gerudo one, and then the Zora one last is what I did. Yes. And I find if you space it out, you do 25 shrines each time, right? Is that how I did it? 25? Yeah. 25 shrines each time. So you do 25, then you do the first dungeon. Then you do whichever one you want to be the first dungeon, you know, kind of thing. Then you do 25 more, then you do a dungeon. Then you do 25 more, do dungeons, 25 more, do dungeons. So that's kind of how I ended up doing it. Which I thought that paced it out really well. That was nice, you know, kind of thing. So good recommendation there. I like that. But anyway, so let's see. What was I talking about? So Terry Town, yeah. So you get one of the people from each of the areas, and then eventually the guy there gets married to the Gerudo lady, and but as you build this town, you get more resources to the town. So like the Gerudo lady adds a shop where you can get like these heat resistant clothes. It's basically just the male version of the female clothes you need to sneak into the Gerudo village, which I'll talk about here in a second. So you get like the male version of that. You get like you can buy bomb arrows and shock arrows and those kind of things from the Goron, or the Goron's little brother or whatever. There's one that like has, I think, some things for like cooking or whatever. You know, there's a couple more things like that. There's just shops that you can go to, and then there's a guy who sells you rare. That's it. That's the human you get, I think. He sells you rare items and whatnot. So like, and the one notable thing about that is if you break the Hylian shield that you can get in Ganon's castle there, or Ganon's castle. I mean, it is kind of his castle, Hyrule Castle, I'll say. If you break that, because you can break that, because you can break everything in this game. It's a lot more durable. I never broke it, but if you break it, you can go to him and he'll sell you stuff. So it is worth doing Terrytown for that reason, you know, and just because it's a nice little story and it gives you like a reason to kind of it's kind of like the secondary quest to your main quest, you know, if there is like a big overarching quest or something. Anyway, I like it. I think it's worth doing. There's a lot of good little extra content there. And it's just a nice little area to go back to, and it's helpful to buy stuff there and whatever. So yeah, so get resources and just kind of chill out. And it's right next to the Great Fairy Fountain there, so that actually makes makes it good. Even though I usually went to the one in Kakariko because that's just easier. Yeah. So I liked Terrytown. I didn't do that on my first playthrough. I did that this time. It was good. It was a good addition. Everyone was all like, "Oh yeah, you got to do that." And actually, the music like changes as you go through. I thought the theme was okay. I mean, it was fine. A lot of people really like that for some reason. I don't know. It was fine. And they add more to it though as people start coming to the town. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. So I don't know if I talked about the music yet. It's kind of like ambient, and it's nice. It's good, but as we're hearing, there's a lot of the same tracks and stuff going along, you know, at the same time. But like, so it does get a little bit repetitive sometimes, but when the vibe is there, it's really very very above and beyond. You know, it's very you really feel it, you know? Like, it's skipping ahead a little bit. I mean, and it's skipping the end of the game. One of my favorite parts of the entire game, I swear we'll talk about the main quest here. It's a little backwards, but we got to talk about this before we talk about the main quest. We don't have to, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So, the like the one time the music really comes, we'll just say this, a little teaser, a little treat, you know, a little appetizer there. It's, you know, it's the Metal Gear Solid ground zeros of little treat there. All right. Anyway, so the one time the music really kicks ass and like really comes all into full is at the very end. The scene right before you take on Ganon, and we'll talk about that in a minute here. So, the main quest. Let's just get to it. Did I finish? Did I talk about everything else? Before I get to that. Oh, by the way, look at this. Isn't this badass? You get this with the Explorer thing here. Also, I have the manual or the guide. I never really used that this round. I just looked it up on the internet. I got the Explorer edition when it came out. This used to be kind of like valuable. I doubt it is anymore. That's really cool too. Look at that. Oh my god, the artwork in this game is amazing. Fucking epic. Look at that shit. Oh, I didn't talk about the memories. God damn it, there's so many things to talk about in this fucking game. Ugh. Alright, also, little map there. Oh, that's a great plateau. There's a map on the back. That's kind of the whole area there. You can see like the Goron area here, and this is like the ice area. I should have showed this at the beginning, so when I was explaining all this shit, it made sense. The Gerudo area is down here. This is just like Zora area is like in here somewhere. Kakariko Village is like here or something. Hateno Village is like over here. Yeah, and then Tide Island's like down here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. There's like a couple islands over here too that are like Tingle related. Or no, even Tide Island. No wait. Oh yeah, it is down there. And then there's the fucking the labyrinths. I didn't even talk about those. There's cool areas in this game. They always lead to a shrine. But there's these mazes that like there's these like big labyrinth mazes. There's like 4 or 5 of them in the game. Those are really cool. Like honestly, I complain. I'm about to complain about the dungeons here in a second. I'm not gonna complain, but you know, like, it's a whole thing. But I think if they make those labyrinths like just a little bit more in depth, maybe some puzzles and stuff, to feel kind of like a traditional dungeon, instead of just like the solution is, oh, you have to go down this hole on the top of the... It feels like cheating. Every time I do that, the solution is always, oh, find this one spot and then that's it. Like, I get it's a maze and that's kind of the point, but like, I don't know, it just feels cheap that you can go from the top and then just like find it and then that's it, you know, like, That's always what it came down to. When there was so much more potential there in those mazes, like the labyrinths were so fucking cool. Like, such a great idea, you know? Stuff like that. It just could have been improved on just like a little bit. Imagine if you went in there and then they gave you like, oh my god, dude. Oh fuck, I figured it out. That's it. That's all you gotta do. What if? Okay, but then people are gonna be like, well, I can't use this item everywhere else in the game. But okay, whatever. Who cares? What if you would go into these sections, right? And you get temporarily an item like a hook shot or something, and that would be something you would have to use throughout that whole section, and then you just return it when you're done or something. If you want to get like traditional items into this game and you don't want them to be used everywhere else in the overworld, it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I think you would get some good respect for doing something like that. That way the items are at least in the game, so you can be like, yeah, well, we put them in the game, and you can do these fun things with them. Then they have to design those items. They don't want to do that. Whatever. Anyway, labyrinths are fucking cool. A little bit of missed potential, but they're fucking cool. Alright, so before we talk about the main quest, is there anything else? That's a nice little blurb here. I'm going to show off a little bit of this, because this here is going to remind me of all the things I need to talk about. You know, it's like a little history thing there. That's kind of nice. It's no Hyrule Historia, but it's nice. Talk about the wild. We talked about the runes. Okay. There's amiibos in the game. This is like one of the like initial amiibo. This was a launch game for the Switch, by the way. I kind of forgot to mention that. So like, gotta be one of the best launch games ever, right? Like, for the most part, like, it's a fucking great game. You got like different amiibos. They do certain things. They give you certain stuff in the game. You can get like the Epona amiibo. It'll give you like Epona in the game as a horse. I talked about the horse stuff. Yeah, okay. God, I kind of wish I had a bunch of these amiibos. Like at least the classic Link or like the Majora's Mask Link or something. I don't want to be an amiibo collector though. I do have the Zelda Skyward Sword one. I showed that off in the last video. Well. Okay, so we'll talk about these guys in a second, but this is these are the champions from 100 years ago. They all kind of pilot one of the divine beasts. This fucking artwork though, holy shit! Like especially Urbosa. Look at that stance, man. Like, oh my fucking god. Oh, so cool. So much power. Fucking awesome. Definitely cool. Yeah, so those are the champions. We'll talk about them in a second here. It's talking about exploring Hyrule, weapons. Yeah, we talked about weapons. We talked about fucking durability. Enemies. Oh, I didn't talk about the Guardians. That's what the Guardians look like. There's also flying ones and like smaller ones too. Really fierce enemies because they have this like beam. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying, but they have this beam that like comes out of their like one eye that like shoots you and does a bunch of damage to you. So that's the other thing about the shrines. There's actually a bunch of them that are just, like it shows down here, they're just like these tests of strength where you just fight these, like, guardians and stuff. It's fine, but, like, also, so about half of them in the game are either a blessing or one of those test of strength shrines, which is just like killing one of those guardian things. So you have to get like really good at fighting them. I don't mind those. Those are fine too. It's just like, it gets a little repetitive after a while. It's just, you know, but it breaks up the thing. It is nice that they have like some of those kind of things. But yeah, the guardians are pretty fierce enemies. And they're all over like Ganon's castle and all that. I'm just gonna call it Ganon's castle because he took it over. All right. I know it's technically Zelda's like Hyrule Castle or whatever, but I'm just calling Ganon's castle. Also Calamity Ganon. That's the stupidest name ever. The Wild West shooting Calamity Ganon. Woo woo boo boo. You know, fuck that. No, that's a dumb name. This is a stupid name. Anyway, I always thought that was a stupid name, but anyway, he's pretty awesome, but we'll get to that in a second here. But the Guardians, anyway. Yeah, so they're like this ancient Sheikah, like, technology, and they were controlled by, like, Hyrule and stuff, the King of Hyrule and stuff. Oh, also, at the beginning in the Great Plateau, you see this old man. reference to Zelda 1, you know, obviously they're really being referential to that. I thought that was really cool. But he turns out to be the king from, spoilers for Breath of the Wild for the Great Plateau section. I guess for the Ganon too, because we're going to talk about that here in a minute. He ends up being the king of Hyrule, which is cool. It's cool to see that. And actually the themes, the musical themes, like, allude to that as well. So I think that's cool, is that the music kind of plays back to, and the references to the areas and stuff like I talked about earlier. Look at that all together. That's really cool. Oh my god, look at that. It's fucking, it's so epic. God, epic. We'll get to that. Anyway, so that kind of stuff. Is this, oh, I was gonna say, is it over? Oh yeah. So also, another one that I noticed, the shrine music. And I don't know why not more people are talking about this, but the shrine music, it's a slowed down version of the cave music from Link's Awakening, and I think the Oracle games have it too, but like that do 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 do, you know, that song. Like if you listen to the shrine music, it's like da 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 da. Yeah, it's like in the background. It's like, it's very similar. It's calling back to Link's Awakening, and of course I would notice that because, you know, big Link's Awakening fan there. Anyway, Guardians. So like this kind, you can like cut off his like little legs and whatever, and then that'll like stop him for a second, or you shoot his eye with the arrow to stop like that beam. So yeah, so you can do that. They're pretty fierce regardless, and especially if you have a bunch of them on you at once, you're pretty screwed. But fighting them one-on-one is enjoyable, I would say. They're still pretty good enemies. Man, I feel like I'm gonna miss out on so much content. But like, so that's a Hinox there, to talk about anyway. So there's this like one, I'll just mention it because I thought of it. There's this one, it's pretty memorable actually. There's this one shrine where you have to bring 3 of those balls, kind of like Eventide, but like not as in depth, and you don't lose all your items or whatever. But there's a mountain where you have to bring like 3 of the balls from like around this like specific area to these little platform pedestal things to put them there. And then open up the one shrine after that. But you gotta go and fight 3 separate Hinox to do it, and so that's pretty cool. Is what that's all I was gonna get at. Oh yeah, and when you make a fire, or an enemy like puts fire in the area or something, it creates an updraft. So you can like use that to like lift up with your paraglider, and then you have like this bullet time effect as well with your arrows. You can like when you're up in the air, you can like, it like slows down, and then you can like make your perfect shot or whatever, as long as you have like good enough altitude. And I like that. I think that's cool. It takes up your stamina as you're sitting there, so you can't do it forever, which is nice. But yeah. Very cool. And also the flurry rush, I don't know if I talked about that earlier, but that becomes really handy if you dodge well enough your enemy, and especially with the Lynels early on. I gotta talk about that too. God, there's so much to talk about. You can dodge their attack, and then you can go in for a bunch of swings, because it like goes into that bullet time again, and you get to attack them a lot for dodging their attack. So it rewards that. It's cool. It's kind of like Dark Souls, except I don't know. It's good though. There's also a system in the game where enemies, as you defeat enemies, get stronger and stronger over time. So as at the end of the game, when I was trying to upgrade a lot of my gear, I had to fight a bunch of Lynels to get a bunch of their parts, because the rare sort of stuff, like especially the barbarian gear, which ups your attack. I think I talked about that earlier. And fully upgraded, each one of them has 20 defense or whatever that is, armor for that. So yeah, so you get to to upgrade all of that though, you need a lot of Lynel pieces. So you know, that's kind of, I had to fight a bunch of Lynels, is my point. Alright, so, the Lionels. Is that what I was talking about? Yeah. So I had to fight a bunch of those to get a bunch of their, like, guts and stuff. To be able to, fully upgrade my barbarian gear. So, stuff like the dodging and stuff became kind of essential. But, what I was going to say about that was, there's a kind of invisible in the background system of the monsters getting stronger and stronger. Kind of like in Metal Gear Solid 5 when you attack enemies. It's not as in-depth as that, but when you attack enemies in certain ways, they'll start to counter that by like wearing helmets if you do a lot of headshots and that kind of thing. So kind of adaptive difficulty system, which is cool. And the enemies will get stronger over time. So initially when I was fighting the Lionels, they weren't that strong. I mean, they were strong. They'd still take a lot of hits. But what you could do was dodge a lot more because they were more dodgeable, just because they were easier ones. What I noticed over time, though, was there was none of the ones you could just, like, dodge, like, a bunch of times and start hitting. What ended up happening was it was always the harder ones where you kind of have to, like, you're very lucky if you get a dodge flurry rush kind of thing. So yeah, so there's that. That's interesting. Okay, I know I keep coming back to the music, but I keep hearing things and it keeps reminding me of things. There's a lot of callbacks to other music, like the Great Fairy Fountain, and like the one that got me was like Zora's Domain. Like when I was there, it was the Zora's Domain music, but it was like just remastered and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. You know, it's all there, but it's just a little bit different and a little changed up, but it's still kind of there, and you're like, oh yeah, this is like Zelda, you know? It's like, you know, I remember Zelda. I remember, you know, I know, but still, I don't know. So, yeah, so I talked about Flurry Rush, the shield surfing thing. You can do a thing where you like jump onto your shield and basically surf down like slopes and stuff. It comes in handy a couple times. There's a thing called a perfect dodge where you like with your shield. It doesn't work super well. I don't know exactly how that all works. I think, I don't know. I fucked that up somehow. But on the Ganon fight, you need to use it, and it's difficult. Let's see. I was talking about Flurry Rush. You can use the spin attack, of course, the classic spin attack. Cooking. We haven't talked about cooking yet. Alright, we kind of briefly talked about it. Okay. We gotta talk about cooking. So, a new mechanic of the game is you'll take all these resources and items you find, and you can hunt animals and stuff. And then you cook these things, and by adding certain things together, you make better stuff. And if you know certain recipes, that'll make it easier. Oh yeah, by the way, did I show this already? This is pretty cool. The Link's, like, he's handing the sword over to the new Link, you know, so that was cool. So, yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and the stable music, it's like, it's kind of like Epona's song or whatever. Anyway. So you can add, yeah, you can add like a bunch of different stuff together, cook it up, and sometimes it'll give you like an attack boost, or it'll give you like more hearts, or some of those temporary hearts or whatever. You can get items that'll like give you like 16 of those plus a full heal. It's like, wow, like it's pretty crazy. It's just this robust system of like cooking things and whatnot, and it's really good. You like hold all this stuff and then you throw it in the pan and it cooks it up to make something cool. Sometimes you can sell things, you know, that you can cook up. So you're always grabbing things throughout the overworld, and just whenever you get to a spot where you can cook stuff, it's just it's always fun to see what you can make and have extra stuff, and it's a good system that replaces like potions and stuff. You can still essentially make what are potions and whatnot. You can make yourself faster, sneakier, all this kind of stuff, resistant to anything, you know, cold. Like like I was saying earlier, you can kind of mitigate having the armor and stuff by having temporary, like, timed, like, 5 minutes of heat resistance or something. There's actually a shrine where these Gorons are, like, trying to outlast your heat or whatever. And you have the fire-resistant gear in the first part, and then they're like, "Oh, that's for pussies. You can't do that. You gotta be a real man." And it's like, all right. So then in the second part, I just used a fire elixir, and it did the same exact thing. And they're still like, "Oh, good job. You were naked doing it. Oh my god." And I'm just like, okay. I felt like that meme, like, you know, like that guy. I don't know. I don't know if I did it right. Anyway, that was the cooking noise, by the way, right there. There's also this thing, the blood moon. It kind of comes in like the blood moon ball or the dance, you know, the curse of the blood moon or whatever. You know, comment below if you know what that's from or whatnot. So anyway, there's a blood moon. What it does is, like, when you kill enemies in this game, supposedly they're just dead until the blood moon, and then they come back, basically. And there's like one shrine where you have to, like, wait until, like, the blood moon is, like, on there, or it's the night of the blood moon. What are you doing? Stop that. It's the night of the blood moon to kind of go in and do the, like, to get the shrine to work. There's just all sorts of shit like that. Anyway, the blood moon, like, respawns monsters, and apparently they're stronger on those nights or whatever. So, yeah. Why was I talking about? Oh, because it also gives you cooking benefits as well. So there's that. There's 3 dragons throughout the game that kind of represent the Pharaoh and Nehru and Din, you know, the goddesses or whatever. And if you hit their scales or their horns, or they'll, like, fly in certain places at certain times. And if you hit all of that stuff, you can, like, or their fang or whatever, you can get different parts of them that are used for different things. You can use them for cooking, or sometimes you need upgrades that are specifically with that. Those are pretty cool. There's actually a shrine quest for each of those, where you have to go and put the scales from each of them into the ponds there, and that'll open a shrine kind of thing. So I like that. That's neat. The other thing was, yeah, overall I'm very positive on cooking. I don't know if I said that. I'm not very good at, like, figuring out what all the combinations are, but I just kind of put the same thing together, and that seems to work for me. There's this Rito called Kaz, and he plays songs and kind of gives you hints about certain shrines that are kind of more esoteric, and you gotta, like, figure out how to do them. There's one shrine where the solution to the shrine is the setup of the one shrine. They're, like, on these 2 mountains across from each other, and the setup for the one shrine is the solution for the other shrine. So you basically just go into the other shrine, put the setup of this shrine, the balls, there's, like, the balls, and you put them in the same place as in the other shrine, and the other shrine, you put them in the same place as this shrine. So that's one. It's weird shit like that you do. And the shrine, I mean, there's other shit in shrines. It's just like moving balls around, getting through certain obstacles. It's all sorts of shit. None of them are as ridiculous as the spike one in the DLC, but we'll talk about that next time. Anyway, these things, towers. They actually they kind of act as, like, they'll fill out the map for the region that you're in. There's like 10 of them or something. And they make for good points to glide down from, which is really nice to give you a good height, you know, in a region. As long as you're kind of near the tower for wherever you're trying to go, you know, that'll work pretty well for you. Yeah, so the way I usually play the game is I go and take out, like, try to get all of the towers unlocked first, so I have my map so I can kind of place points and stuff. Yeah. Talked about the shrines. There's a little thing for the Great Plateau here. Oh, I guess the time one, you can also like freeze gears and stuff. I think that's kind of also a really useful application of that. You know, you freeze stuff to do stasis. That's what it's called, stasis. Yeah, you freeze stuff to do different little puzzles with that kind of thing. You know, time related. Yeah. So, it's talking about armor, the guardians. There's the flying guardian up there. I never really encountered like. They never found me, really, so I remember in the last game I had some problems with them, but, like, not too terribly much this time. Holy shit, look at that. This little, this map here, you can't really see it super well, but, like, over here, it shows you how little the Great Plateau is compared to the rest of the world there. That's pretty crazy. Talks about horses. You can get like Ganon's horse from Ocarina of Time out in the wild. There's like a lot of little cool things like that. You can ride bears and stuff, you know, like that's pretty crazy. You can feed dogs and they'll lead you to treasures. You got the whiz robes are back. You can get like elemental rods and stuff. That's pretty cool. The Lionels and what's up? Are you stuck? Nope, you're down. Okay, many faces of Hyrule, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, there's lots of, like, people and stuff. The tribes I kind of talked about. Great Fairy Fountains I talked about. The memories, so there's memories in the game. You wake up 100 years later, you like, almost died or whatever. The whole thing is, like, you don't remember anything, so you have to go around and collect all these memories at like different little spots in the world, and it gives you like an more of a scene at the end, post credits, I guess, which was nice, you know. If you don't do that, it's not as satisfying or whatever. So, yeah, getting all the memories is cool. The Master Sword. I didn't talk about the Master Sword yet. So the Master Sword you get off in the Korok Forest, and it's like a whole struggle to get through there to begin with because. If you like stray from the path, you like the fog like envelops you and you have to start over kind of thing. Once you get to the core of the forest there, though, you meet the Great Deku Tree, you know, as you do. He's got to be in it because it's Zelda, you know. So you get to the Great Deku Tree. God damn it, kittens. Yeah, there goes my... Anyway. Silly cats. You get to the Great Deku Tree in the middle of the Korok Forest. This is also where Hetsu is, like I was talking about earlier. You see that the Master Sword is there. And much like the original Zelda game, you need like 13 or 14 hearts. I believe it's 14 hearts or something like that to take the Master Sword from its pedestal. And you can't use temporary hearts. It has to be like full hearts. So I tried that. Didn't work. But yeah, so pretty cool. You get the Master Sword. It's like the one item in the game that doesn't break, but it runs out of energy or whatever, and then you have to wait like 10 minutes for it to like recharge. I don't really understand the mechanic of sometimes it was at 30 power, sometimes it was at 60 power. I thought that might have been based on what enemies I was fighting. I couldn't really tell. It seemed to just kind of not affect the Ganon fight either, which we'll talk about here in a second, but I don't know. Yeah, and the rest of this just talks about, oh, that's cool too, this artwork on the back here. So anyway, the main area, the main kind of plot quest thing of the game, 2 hours in, is these 4 different areas I talked about earlier. You know, the Ritos, the Gyros, the Gorons, and then the Zoras there. So what you do is you'll go to each of these areas, and then you'll find like a descendant of one of the champions. The champions are these 4 people who ran these things called the Divine Beasts, which are these like giant machines. that they were able to pilot from like 100 years ago or whatever, when Calamity Ganon initially came back and all this stuff. Um, so you you find one person that's related to these, by blood or by whatever, it's like a person who knows about these champions or whatever, um, who is in each of those areas. Okay, so like I said, there's only like 3 towns, but I guess there's like the Zora's Domain's kind of like a town, and the Goron City's like a town. Yeah, so there's more. There's like the Gerudo Village. Yeah, okay. So I was kind of forgetting about those because they're kind of just part of the main area there. But anyway, so there's more, yeah, areas. But there's, so like you go to the Rito one. There's a quest for the main story based like around each of these, and you get like non-memory memory, like not the memory. You have these pictures with the memories. You have these pictures, and then you like go to that spot, and then you like remember something from the past or whatever. It's you and Zelda for the most part, like doing all this stuff. Also I hated in the trailer where the one time Zelda's shown like she's crying or whatever, like, oh yeah, we got to do the typical female, emotional bullshit. Like, yeah, okay, shit, we all cry or whatever sometimes, it's like, that's like the one thing they had to put in the trailer, Zelda's like a badass, she's like a female awesome person, and that's kind of the vibe I get here too. It's like, she can do more, but you gotta show her being emotional. She's a woman, like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so point being that you get these memories and stuff. Each one of the areas has a memory that kind of like clues you back into, oh yeah, this is that guardian, or this is that champion who I knew in the past, sort of thing. But it's like at the Rito one, you meet this it's like high-strung kind of Falco sort of character. He's basically Falco from Star Fox, who's like a Rito character, and then he's kind of like whatever, but then like the one in the past, he's like such he's an asshole to you, and he's just trying to be all competitive to you and whatever. So you do like this flight challenge thing where you like shoot a bunch of like these targets or whatever to prove to him that you're like you can do good or whatever. So there's like a lot of, you have to do a quest each time to kind of get to the Divine Beast, and then you have to take down the Divine Beast, and then you go inside the Divine Beast, and it's a dungeon basically. So yeah, so there's one at the Rito area, there's one in the Goron area. That one you have to like defend this guy, take him up this mountain. I also have to say about that one, that also really sucked. That was probably the other part where I hated the most, was taking him up the mountain, sort of thing. Like, everything before that was fine, but like, if one of the main quest Divine Beast like pre-things was terrible, it was that one. I hated, because there was like these guardians. There's like guardians everywhere. They're like okay, I will say, okay, the Flying Guardians never gave me any shit anywhere else in the game outside of that specific quest, climbing Death Mountain to take on the lizard Divine Beast or whatever, which sucked, because yeah, just defending that guy and having him try to get through while you're trying to get through was such a fucking hassle. So yeah, anyway, so there's that one, and then there's the Gerudo one, where first of all you have to get gear so you look like a girl to infiltrate the Gerudo village, because it's an all-female village, except for like Gorons, I guess. Like, they let Gorons come in even though they're portrayed as like male. I guess Gorons are non-binary or something. I don't fucking know. Like, there aren't female Gorons, right? Like, where are the female Gorons? Like, what's with that? How did they reproduce? It's just like it's just like some kind of brotastic, like, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how that all works. Well, that, jeez, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so it's some interesting commentary though about the Gorons being let in. So yeah, but anyway, you have to pretend like you're a girl to infiltrate there. So you cross-dress essentially to get in there. And it has to be this specific outfit, even though there's like some other things that are pretty feminine as well in the game. It's like, oh, I can't just wear this in there. No, it just has to be this one specific outfit to get in there. Otherwise, they won't let you in there. And if once you get in there, there's like all the Gerudo ladies, and there's you know, there's like shops and stuff in each of these towns. And that's kind of cool. And like an inn and stuff that you can stay at. That one you have to go and oh, that's the one where you have to go and take back the Thunder Helm from the Yiga. Ah, shit, I didn't do the Thunder Helm side quest. I don't know if that was any worth doing. Kind of forgot about that. Anyway, yeah, and so you get this like the queen or the princess or whatever there just like makes you go and defeat the Yiga clan to get back the Thunder Helm, and then that's how you prove yourself. And then the Zora one is just like I don't even think there was one. The whole quest is like just go up and get shock arrows from the Lionel up on the mountain there. But if you already have shock arrows, they're just like, oh, okay, I guess you're fine. So I don't even think there was a quest there. Anyway, so after you do all of those quests and you meet the champion, they're not champions, but the newer, you know, iterations or whatever, you go with them to take on the Divine Beast. So most of the Divine Beast, it's just like you have to go around them and then like shoot certain points on them. Usually it's like their legs, or like with the elephant one, it's like points like on him somewhere. Like it's actually, wow, okay, so I guess that's what the final boss was all about. That's, nobody ever really brings that up. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there. But so yeah, you shoot all these points on the Divine Beast. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, they're usually pretty exhilarating, you know. Like, I like that. I think that's definitely, it really brings up the hype, you know, and it's very, if you could climb on them, it'd be very Shadow of the Colossus-esque, but you feel the scale of how big they are compared to you. So it's and they're like trying to attack you and stuff while you're going on and stuff. So I don't know, I just think that's cool. It's a cool little preamble to getting in there. It feels epic, you know. It feels like, oh man, this is cool. And then so you get into the Divine Beasts. Okay, so yeah, so like the Rito one is like you're flying with your paraglider. The like you'll jump off and then you like, you know, the Zora one's like water related. You're like swimming around with the guy. You also get the Zora armor that'll like let you swim up waterfalls. That's really helpful. I think more stuff like that in the game would have been pretty cool. But they don't really do a lot of that. Like, what if you got gear in each of the areas that lets you kind of traverse a unique thing? You know, that would have been kind of cool. I don't know. Anyway, the Gerudo one is like you're on this back of a sand seal, and you just kind of are shifting around the sand. It's really, they're all look kind of the same thing, you know. But yeah. And then the escort mission one, yeah, that was just such a pain in the ass. I did not like that one. And then the fucked up thing is, the problem with that one is if the guys spot you, they'll like throw a bunch of shit down on you, so you die. But the Gerudo kid has this like barrier power, which we'll talk about in a second, like all the powers or whatever. But he doesn't shield you with it. I guess it's just around him. It's just like a one person kind of thing. But I don't know. So yeah, so you get inside the Divine Beast. Each Divine Beast has like the setup for the Divine Beast. Okay, so there's a flying bird one. There's like a lizard one. There's an elephant. I don't know why the elephant's at the water place. You think it'd be like a fish or something, but it's an elephant. And then there's like a camel out in the desert one. So each of these has a map terminal you go to like update your Sheikah Slate at or whatever. This I don't like how these village ones, they have like 17 different fucking iterations because it feels like we're just listening to the same thing again and again and again. What is this one? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you go inside these divine beasts and you find the map terminal, and then so that'll give you a layout of the dungeon, and it'll also allow you to shift certain parts of the dungeon with the elephant. It's like his trunk he could shift, and there's water that comes out of it and stuff. And then with the camel one, it's like you could shift these things on the inside of the... Or is that the gecko one? I think that's the camel one, right? You shift these little tumblers on the inside, and then... Yeah. And it'll shift, like, the mid parts of the thing. Like, it'll shift the room inside. It's kind of interesting. And then there's the gecko one. I don't really remember how that one works. I think you just kind of turn him one way or the other, and that kind of does things. And then the bird one is similar to that, where you just kind of turn it certain ways. Anyway, this all like lets you do certain things within the dungeon. It's kind of interesting. And then you have these terminals in there. You have to like do like 5 different terminals or whatever in each one, and that'll unlock the boss. So it's fine. It's like interesting. It's not like really the typical Zelda dungeon. I like each of them. They're the right length, I feel like, but I don't know. It just it really... Why is this not working? There we go. God damn it. Alright. So, it really just, okay, there we go. See, now it's not working. What the hell? Fuck it. We'll just let it be. They're fine. They're fine dungeons. I like them well enough. But they could be like more traditional like Zelda dungeons. Even if they took that item concept like I was talking about earlier, like you just get an item for that dungeon and then it gets like lost in the dungeon when you can't re-enter the dungeon after you finish it. Whatever, that would have been fine. So yeah. I guess I kind of forgot to talk about, there's like lots of big enemies out in the world. I said like Lionels and Hinoxes and stuff. There's like Taluses and like the Molduga thing out in the desert. They're like all these big like sort of boss fights out in the world. They're not like real boss fights, but they're like mini bosses almost, you know. It's kind of neat how that works. Kind of just stumble upon them out there in the world. It's cool. They give you probably good items and stuff. I never really fought many of them. I know there's certain, there's something that you get for, like, fighting all of them or something like that. There's some reason you would fight all of them. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, back to the dungeons. So, and then at the end of each one, you fight, a Blight Ganon. So it's like, there's like Thunder Blight, Wind Blight Ganon, Fire Blight Ganon, and like, I don't know what the other one is, with Sand Blight or some shit. I don't fucking know. Basically they're all just like these elements, although they have different ways that they kind of do these element things, and they have different weapons and different attack styles and stuff. Like one has like a laser beam thing, and the one is like shoots shit at you and has barriers and stuff. I don't know. It's like different. that was an interesting thing that everyone always said. So though each of the champions had these powers, and actually the each of the blights have sort of those kind of similar to their powers, because of what happened. So like each champion was bested by the blight that you're fighting as the boss of that dungeon, and their spirits are basically there to guide you through and talk to you and stuff and be like, oh, I remember you, Link, and here's my power and blah blah blah, the backstory. So yes, so you get their powers after you defeat them, but each of the bosses kind of has that power. So like the fire one has like the shield power in a sense. And you have to like use bombs and stuff to like use bombs wisely to blow them up, blow up the shield, and like get a chance to attack them and stuff. Like each of them are fine. I think they're all pretty good bosses. What's interesting is if you don't fight if you could choose not to go and do the Divine Beast. And I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm like, maybe next time I play this, I won't do the Divine Beast, and I'll just go and maybe do some shrines or something, and then try to go steamroll Ganon. But like after I get some good, I mean, most of the good items are actually in Hyrule Castle, so I could probably just go there and do that. I know there's people who do it, the hardcores. So it'd be fun to do a challenge run like that one of these days. As soon as you get off the Great Plateau, though, you can beeline it for Hyrule Castle and then just go in there. And as long as you can, like, make it to Ganon, you would have to fight each of the Blight bosses there. So it's encouraged that you go to each of the other areas because they set you up to be good enough to fight Ganon, essentially. And they'll do a thing here, which I'll talk about in a second. But, like, you can do it. You can go in there without and just totally do it that way. And that's totally also feasible. And there's people who do that. And it'll just go defeat Ganon, like, right away. Kind of thing. So, totally possible. But you're missing out on kind of the story and the experience of all that. So each of the powers. So the first power that you get, well, I mean, the first one that most people get is the Rito one, which allows you to do, like, you'll duck down, and then you, like, boom! You do, like, a giant, like, burst in the air, and then, like, go up. You only get, like, 3 of that power and 3 of the shield one, and then, like, 1 of each of the other powers. Actually, I think you get 3 of the, do you get 3 of the lightning one? I think you just get 1 of the lightning one. Anyway. You get 1 of Mipha's power, for sure. But, what am I gonna say? So, yeah, you get that flight one, which is really helpful to get, like, to higher places, like, fast. If you're, like, really... I didn't use it much. I don't, the one that I used a lot was the shield one, mostly because I was trying to use my shield, but it just takes place... When you use your shield, it just encompasses you in the shield. That's the one you get from the Goron. That I was talking about earlier, where the kid has that power, but he doesn't help you with it. So, this becomes very, very helpful against, like, Lionels and stuff as that power. They basically can't... You get 3 free hits where they can't hurt you at all, which is nice. So that one's helpful. There's a shield power. Then there's the Gerudo one, which is, like, when you do a charge attack, you have, like, this lightning that'll come off, so it's more of an offensive attack. And then there's a healing one from Mipha that's basically just like, it works like a fairy, except it works like a fairy on crack, basically. You get all of your hearts back. So you get, like, 1 free revive, which is, like, super, super, super helpful, obviously. But yeah, so, realistically, I should have done that one first or second or something so I can get that revive power, so I could have that for the rest of the game. That's actually would have been really handy, but it really does come in handy. So I like those powers for sure. Those are great, good rewards for doing your dungeons. That's awesome. I love that. That's fantastic. Good for you guys. So when you defeat each of the blights, it weakens the main Calamity Ganon's power and then it'll send the divine beasts will actually be in control again, and they shoot a beam over at Hyrule Castle because it's kind of in the middle of everything, and so each of the beams will hit there, and then when you go to fight Ganon, it weakens his power by half in the most fucking epic scene ever, like ever, which we'll talk about in a second here. I just want to talk about Hyrule Castle really quick, and then we'll get into that, and then we'll finish up, because that's it. That's all, that's the rest of the game. Hyrule Castle is like a real Zelda dungeon. That is what I wanted for the other dungeons. Had all of the dungeons been that in-depth, I would have been like, wow, this is like, they did this. You know, I hope in Tears of the Kingdom, they're more like Hyrule Castle, where there's like a lot of different areas and ways. And the cool part about it is, you're free to kind of go and tackle the dungeon from whichever angle you want to kind of, you know, you could just climb on the outside, you can go through the paths on the inside. There's even a shrine in Hyrule Castle there, which is pretty cool. Shit like that. There's so many good items in there, and it's such a rewarding final dungeon. It's really cool, and I just wish the other dungeons kind of been like that, you know? I don't know. And I know there's one more dungeon in the DLC, and I want to get to that, and we'll talk about that next time, but I don't want to talk about that now, because, you know, like I said, so far the DLC has been kind of negative, so we're not accounting for any of that on the score here. And I think that's fair. We want to just review the base game of Breath of the Wild, and then any additions after the fact. You know, because DLC is not always necessarily great, or things they add don't always necessarily work out, so it's only fair that we do it like this, you know. So, yeah, so Hyrule Castle is a really great dungeon. And then you get to this epic fucking moment where if you've done all of these divine beasts, or I assume just whichever ones you've done, you get to see that champion again, and they're like, get it, Link, you know, fucking, let's defeat this motherfucker, and you're just like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know, like, and then, like, the beam, boom, and it's like, then you see the next champion, they're like, do it for me, Link, boom, and it's like, boom, boom, it's a fucking visceral moment, the music is so fucking epic, and you're just like, fuck yeah. Let's see if I can find the music here from that. There's like a million tracks on this part, but we're wrapping up here, so we gotta get there, you know. We gotta. Wow, holy fucking shit! There's so many tracks. Anyway, so here we'll just start on this, and we'll see if this does it. Yeah, it's like this it's like, oh fuck, that fell. It doesn't matter. It's like this epic fucking music track, and it's like boom, 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 and it's like yeah, boom, you know, like fucking nostalgia critic. Anyway, so. This fucking epic music. It's so viscerally cool. It's such a good scene. It's like peak Zelda moments. I don't know how they did it. They pulled it off though. Like I didn't think I really even cared that much about the champions, but then when they're all like, I just love moments like that. It's kind of reminiscent. Also the 4 dungeons thing's kind of reminiscent of Majora's Mask, right? It's also kind of reminiscent of that scene where the 4 giants come, but like you're not really connected to the 4 giants at all. They're not really characters. The champions are characters, and you kind of like... Oh, is this it? Was that it? I can't remember. Okay. So, oh, I think this is it. Is this it? Or this is Calamity Ganon's fight. Anyway, point being that you, that like, it all just kind of comes together, and like all the characters are there, and they're all like, I don't know how they did like the beam thing, like that just feels so good. And then the most epic fucking thing, I just can't, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just, oh, it makes me so, I get so hyped, you know? It's like, the most epic thing is after this badass cutscene where, like, you get to see all of your champions that are dead, and they're all getting their revenge because they're shooting the beams at Ganon. You know, they all shoot it from the different sides of the world, and you're like, yes, everything's finally culminating, coming together. And then you see Ganon's life bar. Boom! 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 Cut in half! Dead! Boom! Fucking half his life bar goes away. You get to fucking, you only have to fight him at half life because you fucking did all of this shit. And it's just like a really cool reward for fucking, you know, for doing everything, you know? Like, they gave you the option to go and do that. What if, you know, what if? Like, life is strange. What if? What if now you do 120 shrines, right? And that would have an epic moment like that. What if you did all 900 fucking Koroks and somehow that would have an epic moment like that? That would have been cool as shit. I would have been like, fuck yeah, dude. I don't know if anything could have been worth doing 900 Korok seeds for, but I'm just saying, you know, we're not, it's not about that. Let's see. Yeah, these are all just Calamity games. I think the other one was the song. Anyway. Right, so, and then they had this, like, epic music playing in the background of the boss. You never had this on, like, a boss so far. I think, like, the boss themes are okay. I don't remember. Maybe these are just the boss themes. I don't fucking remember. But when you fight Ganon, and you see this, like, giant, like, you know, like, I don't know, he's like a, what do they call that? Like a larva, sort of like a giant, like, you know, ball thing. He's like in there, you know, kind of like Dolmegus when you go and fight him in the ruins in Dragon Quest VIII. You know, I'm bringing that up and I haven't even reviewed Dragon Quest VIII yet. Anyway, we'll get to it. He's like encased in there. He's like powering himself up, and then, you know, he's been like doing this for like, you know, 100 years or whatever. And then he like bursts out of it, and he's like this, like, giant, like, he's got like he's like the malice that was all over the game. There's like, I forgot to mention this, there's like these eyeballs that you can shoot, and there's like goopy stuff that's like all over the world that doesn't let you climb places, like, will go away or whatever. Anyway, he's like made of this shit, you know, and it's all like Ganon's blood or whatever, this like malice shit, or Demise's blood or whatever the fuck, I don't know, you know, and it's like, it's all over him. He's got like every one of the weapons from the Blights, and it's like the Sheikah technology mixed with this like fucking goopy bullshit. I don't fucking know. It's awesome as fuck. And he's sitting there, and he's like giant fucking gigantic. I feel like I'm doing the nostalgia critic thing, you know, like, he's like giant fucking gigantic. You wouldn't even believe it. It's so amazing. No, but no, seriously, he's like, he's like giant fucking gigantic, and you're like running around trying to dodge all of his attacks and stuff. And at first it's really epic, you know. It like slows down a little bit whenever you have to like do the perfect dodge shield thing. That kind of breaks the pacing a little bit. But like before that, it's just such a like awesome battle of you sneak in. It's like fighting a Lionel, but like 17 million times cooler. You like sneak in to like use. Okay, of course I had to put on the Master Sword and the Hylian shield that I got inside of the castle there. That you have to like go through like a prison and all this shit and find. It took you forever to find that thing. I fucking found it, and of course I'm decked out in that. I should have been wearing the hero armor, but I said fuck it, I want my barbarian armor because it has all the nice stats or whatever. Hey, you know, a stat transferring thing like in Parasite Eve, that would have been fucking cool. Anyway, most games are never gonna do that. Just saying. Anyway, so fucking I'm in there decked out in my barbarian fully upgraded armor. I got my Master Sword in my hand, I got my shield, I'm like fucking Miyamoto in the Twilight Princess thing or whatever the fuck. Everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know, and the background and the trailer, fucking, yeah. So I'm there fighting Ganon, it's fucking awesome. And he's slashing the shit out of him and dodging his attacks and shit, and it's fucking epic. Until that one part, and then after that, you know, you just get to keep slashing him again, and then, oh, okay, so then, you know, that form goes away, whatever. Alright, yeah, that part's awesome, that part's fucking cool. And then you get on your horseback, you're out in the, like, field or whatever. It's, like, actually a part of the field out you could have, like, you went there, definitely, in the, throughout the game or whatever. You're out in the field, and you're like, this is like this giant, like, beast form of Ganon. It's like Dark Beast Ganon or whatever. And it's like the Divine Beast. It's all coming together, right? Remember I said I was going to say something about that? Here it is. That's the thing. It's the Divine Beast sort of thing where you go around and you have to shoot him. Zelda gives you the bow of light, which is like the light arrows, just like in every other fucking Zelda game. And it's like, you know, like, wow, holy shit, like, we're doing it. This is traditional Zelda shit. This is tropes, man. We're fucking getting them again. Yeah. Fuck yeah. And everyone hates that fight, but I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool, you know. The horse controlling's not the best, but I didn't have a great horse either. So I mean, I'm sure if you had a better horse, maybe it would matter. I don't fucking know. Anyway, so you're riding around him. You're shooting him. The weak spots of the bow of light. And then at the end, it creates this updraft, and then you see this like giant like gaping eye vagina thing, and it's like the malice eyes, and you shoot the bow of light in there. It's like boom, 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 boom. Ah, ah, yeah, you fucking, you know. So it was awesome. No, I was, anyway, so and the music, it's like. Da-da-da! It's got the main theme. You're fucking coming full circle. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah. You shoot the thing and it blows up, and then you get to talk to Zelda, and she's like, you know, okay, I don't know. It's great. It's a great fight. I don't care what anybody says. It's awesome. It's epic. It's cool. I know it wasn't what we were expecting, but it's just fucking great. Anyway, that's the game in general, right? You talk to Zelda, she's like, do you remember me? And if you did get all the memories, that's it. You just get the staff roll, you're like, that was sucked. And then after the post credits, if you got all the memories, oh, let's listen to this. Yeah! Fuck yeah, this music's awesome. This is, oh, it's just like, we could have been at this energy the whole fucking game, and we weren't. And I get it. You want to do different things, ambience and whatnot, but goddamn, like, I know, you cannot reasonably, for hundreds of hours, keep this kind of energy. But when you do this energy, like, holy shit, it fucking elevates it to another fucking level. Like, this shit right here, without the rain, let's say the rain throwing out, this shit right here would make it like a 10 out of 10 kind of game. I don't have this reaction about many games, but fucking... goddamn that raid and like some of the other couple of things that I mentioned, I can't even remember. It doesn't even matter at this point because this is the fucking most epic final boss like almost ever. It would have been cool if there was like a couple more forms or something. I don't know, but it's pretty fucking awesome. Anyway, after the credits, you get another scene with Zelda or whatever, and that's the end of the game. Oh my god, holy shit. So, yeah. So Breath of the Wild, the final boss is like really fucking good, and it's just such a good culmination. He uses all like the techniques for the Wind Blight and the Fire Blight and all the other blights and Amity Blight and oh my god. So yeah, so if we're just doing that final boss alone, Jesus Christ, it's a 10 out of 10. But no, it's not. It's okay. I mean, yeah. See the rain and stuff. It's just, I know everyone's like it's just a small thing, but it's not. It constantly weighs down on you. Some of the shrines aren't that great, or it just they didn't need to be shrines like the blessing ones or whatever. There's a couple issues like that. It's really there's not that much wrong with the game. There's a couple things that I would have fixed. You need more traditional Zelda elements in here. Just give us a fucking couple more things. I get it, you're trying a new formula, it's different. It's still great, and I love it, but... There's just that littlest bit. You know, stuff like this final battle that really proves to me that there were these sort of... Like, this really feels like a real Zelda, you know? They went such a different direction with everything else, though, and it's like, you know, that's fine, and that's great, but, like, it's just, we're missing a little bit of that classic Zelda feel, you know? It's just, I don't know, I want a little bit more of that. I hope that Tears of the Kingdom does a little bit more of that. But outside of that, in terms of like gameplay and stuff, the game plays great. Outside of the rain thing, I know, I harped on about it. But, come here, bud. I harped on about it. But, you know, the climbing stuff, that's all really cool. The spirit orbs, the shrines, it's a great idea. I think there should have been a better reward, the completionist reward. That needed to be better. That and the rain, I think those are like our two main complaints at this point, right? Is this, what is this? Oh, I don't know. Anyway. Huh, weird. We're jamming out. Anyway, I don't know what this is. Anyway, yeah, I didn't even mention how graphically it looks really nice, and like the environments are all really colorful and unique and stuff, and like I really enjoy that. The aesthetic of the game is like kind of mind-blowing, because I mean, fucking Scarlet and Violet, what the fuck were you doing? You could have been on this level. Okay, now I'm kind of there with people. Like, Jesus Christ, this game came out at the beginning of the Switch. Fucking Jesus Christ, get yourself together, Game Freak. So yeah, graphically it looks really nice, and the performance is great too. I never noticed anything wrong with it. There's a couple of bullshit like motion-y control things on the on some of the dungeons. That's kind of maybe like a small negative. Let's see, what else? But yeah, I like the upgrade systems. I like the cooking mechanic. I thought that was really good. The exploration was cool. The Koroks are a good idea outside of like the fact that there's 900 of them. But I think that really kind of needed to be a thing, because if I only found 260 whatever of them and I mapped out like the entirety of like areas and stuff, like clearly I did something wrong, you know, like how are there 900 of them? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, holy shit, there's never been that many collectibles in any Zelda game, you know, of like stuff like that, I don't think. Yeah, the enemies are cool, the fucking items, like the weapons and stuff are really cool. I liked the rune thing, I thought that was neat. Item durability thing, it's a little odd. I don't know, they can refine it, they can make it better. All of it comes together to be like a really awesome and excellent experience. I wanted to play this game every time I could, and if a game gets me like that, it's sort of a Skyrim situation where I want to come back and play it as often as I can. You know, there's only so many games that can do that kind of thing. Sometimes, usually when I sit down to play a game, I'm like, alright, I gotta like cut out some time for the... Not that I don't enjoy a lot of those games, but it's like, you know, when I was playing like Spirit Tracks and stuff, I wanted to come back and play it, but also I was like, okay, God, am I gonna have to do... Is there gonna be something like that part with the train where you have to like get that thing, you only get like one hit in that fucking tunnel and in the desert area and shit? Oh, I fucking hated that. That sucked so much. They had to baby mode it for me so I could get through it even, but that was just ridiculous. I mean, you know, and for the most part, what I'm trying to say is the game is incredibly fucking fair when it comes to stuff like that. There's always a way to get around the bad elements of this game outside of the fucking rain. You know? And that's really the one big thing. And it just... It's so close. It's so close to being a 10. But it just cannot get that 10 for me. The soundtrack is good, but, you know, it just doesn't get me hyped at all times. And I know that's not always the vibe that they're going for, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't think there's enough variety in the tracks. Everything else has enough variety. Like, why not the soundtrack? You know, like, there's a lot of variations on the same themes, and it's just like, could have done a little bit more there. I don't know. But I like the music overall, what they do have there. It's just... It gets really repetitive sometimes, you know. So, but everything else I really liked. I really did enjoy this game, and it, yeah, I mean, wow, you know, it's great. I kind of understand why people are so enamored with it. Would I give it my favorite Zelda game rating? Absolutely not, because there's about 4 other Zelda games I'd put above it, and we'll do a whole Zelda rankings list, you know, prior to the Tears of the Kingdom coming out. When is that coming out? Does it have an actual release date yet? Like, I have to imagine that it would have a release date now, right? Like, if we're this close to it, like, when the fuck does it come out? May 12th. Okay. Yeah. The dungeons, pretty decent. I mean, it could have been a little bit better, but I liked them. Obviously, I liked them enough, the characters and whatnot, to really, like, something awoke in me, like, whenever they were doing that scene at the end, and I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah, like, look at this, you know, like, maybe it was their powers being with me all the time, and I just really, I don't know, I like the champions. I didn't think I was that emotionally invested, but like I had such a visceral moment. I just love when everything comes together at the end. Endings are great, you know, sometimes, and this is a great ending. Maybe outside of like I don't, the story in this game isn't like super in depth or anything, but I don't know. It's fine. They do a lot to endear you to the to Zelda and her character, and I think if we could do more traveling with her in the next game, maybe have her be playable too, that'd be really cool. You know, like, I don't know, something like that. She just needs to be in it more. Or something. I don't know. And I liked her whole storyline on the side there and trying to figure out her powers and all of that. Like the backstory behind, like back in the 100 years ago was pretty cool. I liked all of that, you know, the flashbacks and stuff. It's I don't know. So the story was pretty good too. You know, so overall, like, it just really comes together as such a great package. They do a really good job of kind of getting you through everything and hinting enough but not making it so obvious. But, you know, there's also not so many, like, this is such bullshit, it's hidden in this corner kind of thing outside of, like, the Koroks, but, like, you're meant to have those as secrets. You know, I never had that many Twilight Princess moments, like, the lantern thing, or the, you know, the, yeah, lantern thing where you have to, like, stand in the center of that or something. There wasn't a lot of moments like that. It was all pretty self-explanatory. And even the hard ones, when I looked them up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of clever. I never really, I maybe had a couple of moments where I was like, oh, that's kind of bullshit, but like, not really. For the most part, the game is very fair. DLC withstanding. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game. I don't know. I don't think there's much else to talk about. I think that's it. I mean, I think this is a long enough review as it is. I think overall, like, I really enjoyed the game, and yeah, for me it is top tier Zelda. It's like top 5. I mean, I'm excited to see what the future of Zelda holds, and really playing all the games leading up to it, and especially the ones I hadn't played in a while, or the ones I hadn't reviewed, is really what it came down to. Made the appreciation for how, like, good this one is, and having played Scarlet and Violet recently, and I guess Legends Arceus too, made me realize how good the open world design of this game was. I did initially, in my initial thoughts on the game, think it was a little bare, but I don't really hold that sentiment as much anymore. There are, like I said, like, there are some spots where you can't necessarily get to there very easily by just warping around or whatever. But if I had that warp medallion thing before, that would have been kind of cool. But that's the DLC, so we'll talk about that next time. So that could have made the game better. I don't know. Anyway. But overall, I'm really not too negative on the game. Do I think it's a little bit overhyped? Yes. The like, fucking, you know, it makes everything else look like Thomas shit. This kind of stuff, you know, like this 10 out of 10. Oh my god, it's 2 million out of 10 kind of thing. Like, oh my god, the energy some people have about this fucking game. Okay, maybe I had a little bit of that energy too on the Ganon shit there, but it was really good, I swear. The energy that some people have about this game is just crazy. And I know, and I get it. If you love this game and you just want to, like, really... I love this game too, but do I love it to that level? I'm not so fanatical about it, you know. I revere the classics. I'm a very refined gamer, you know. I appreciate Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and I'm a culinary wine-sipping gamer of the Zelda 1 variety is so good, you know. It's so vintage. God, it's not vintage. It's classic is what it is. You know, I like the Link to the Past well enough, but you know, it's like that's the other one people get really, really hyped about. It's always the one I'm not as hyped about. You know, but people get hyped about Ocarina and Majora's Mask too, and not as much on Majora's Mask. I mean, these days, yes and no, but we need more Link's Awakening hype. That's what it really needs to be. I mean, okay, a lot of people played it because of the remake, and that was good, and I like that happened. So, anyway, yeah. So, final score for the game. We're teetering. It's gonna be a 9.8 or a 9.9. It can't get a 10 because of the little flaws I had. Not little flaws. Those are kind of major flaws in a sense. Because of those flaws, I cannot in good conscience give it a 10, but I will give it a 9.8 or 9. I think the rain and then, what did I say? Like, some of the shrines not being all that great. A couple of them just being like, oh yeah, just walk it. Oh, here, you do this one thing and then that's it. You could have put a little more effort into that. I think that's worth 0.2 points, so we'll give it a 9.8. I think that's fair. That's still really, really, really high. If I give anything a 9.9, it's like, you know, it's like just teetering on the edge. It's like Ocarina of Time 3D was like a 9.9 when I initially reviewed it, and it's like the only reason I did that was because like there was a couple tiny, teeny, tiny things. The rain is actually a big mechanic, so it's kind of fair to take 0.2 off. But anyway, you know, I only took 0.1 off of that one because, like, and not on my recent review because I didn't play it on the recent review, but when I did it before. Anyway, that's not relevant to this video, so I'm gonna give it a 9.8. I think that's fair. I like that we're ending this with the main theme. Oh, it's the staff roll. Okay, so of course. Yeah, it was really good. It's a really good Zelda game. And I'm excited for Tears of the Kingdom. And hopefully this 2-hour, 40-some minute review did a good enough job expressing my feelings about the game and all of the little mechanics and whatnot. And I got into every little gritty detail. So, till next time. When we talk about the DLC and how shitty it is. This is JZNES. Thank you for classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games. I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ